blah,
Yeah,
blah,
Chris, speaking of
blah.
Iowa, though, turnout wasn't where the
Blah.
Democrats wanted it to be. They need to have
Blah,
turnout to
blah.
take on Trump. Should they be worried?
Well, not
Whatever.
yet. I don't think they should be worried yet. It's early. There's a lot of candidates.
Why is anyone listening to that
Make it
dude?
better, but
Chris
they gotta watch it.
Christie.
Because if their only enthusiasm is hatred of Trump, that's not enough to elect a Democratic president.
Yvette Simpson, so we see that Bernie Sanders coming out of Iowa, he's able to attract young voters. He's able to attract new voters. Minority voters, not a lot in
Oh, my
Iowa,
internet
but he
can
did
handle
well
all
within.
this.
Can he win the nomination without grabbing the middle of the party?
You know, I think if he
The middle of
energizes
the
enough,
party.
like non-traditional voters, right? So what we forget, we have this elusive idea about this party-switching voter or the independent voter that we can capture. But the question is, do we have to compromise our values? And so right now, the people that Bernie Sanders have, they love him because he doesn't compromise his values. And so he's got to remain as consistent as he can. We saw what happened with Elizabeth Warren when she started to kind of get shaky on Medicare for All, and she lost a lot of progressive support because people said, we need you to be consistent. So Bernie's strategy has to be, one, to continue to be
Public.
consistent and to get as much voter turnout from those non-traditional, not regular base voters.
Matt Dowd, if anybody has energy, electricity, somebody who you see the fire when they're on stage, it is Elizabeth Warren. She's shown
Man.
that so far this primary
Looks like he's
season.
got about an
If you
inch
were
of
advising
makeup
her,
on
what
his
would you tell her
face.
about tonight?
I think she has to be incredibly aggressive at this debate tonight, and I think she has to go. She cannot. She's a neighboring state governor. I mean, she's a neighboring state politician. She finished third.
Oh, that
in
guy's
Iowa. She
uglier than
finishes
me, though.
third
That's
here.
cool.
There begins to be a lack of room in the race for her, and the race becomes a moderate Buttigieg versus Bernie Sanders in this race. So I think she has to
Cool.
be incredibly aggressive and quit with the laying the hands off of Bernie. She has to understand that this
Yeah.
race is not going to come down between
Go
her
after
and
Bernie.
some-
That's a
Amy
great
Klobuchar or
idea,
somebody
you
else. It's
idiot.
going to come down to who has the space.
Go at
between
him as
Bernie
hard
and
as you
her. She has to
can.
begin to draw contrast with Bernie Sanders.
Before I get to Rom, Nate, real quick on fundraising, who has to do well, not only tonight, but on Tuesday to stay alive when it comes to money?
I mean, staying alive is a pretty low bar to clear. I mean, I think for Joe Biden, though, there is maybe a crisis of competence. He has some good states coming up on Super Tuesday. South Carolina should be a good state. That's an eternity from now. He has never raised money particularly well. He's probably not going to do all that well in New Hampshire. It would probably be the worst of the first four states for him. But can he raise confidence that he's playing the long game, in it for the long haul? Doesn't have to win New Hampshire. Is still very
Spelling
capable of
error.
rallying his base later on. But
Welcome
you know,
to
he's the one who,
viewers.
has kind of the most at
Very
risk in this
cool.
whole stretch here.
If Joe Biden gets a lifeline call and he calls Rahm Emanuel, what are you telling him? What are you
A life-
advising him?
What?
What I'm telling him is his greatest strength is his authenticity. That's also true for all
Uh-huh.
candidates, but him particularly. And so my view is stay focused on what you want people to remember, that you are Uncle Joe. They're somebody that they're comfortable with.
Uncle
That
Joe.
understands the pressures on middle-class families of how to raise their kids, how to raise them with the social media and all the other pressures on them, how to understand the economic needs, what it means to have grandparents living
God, I
upstairs,
can't
kids
stand
coming
that
home
dude.
from college, living in the home, and that he understands the kitchen table.
I'm about to
What goes
fucking
on there,
punch
and
my
he
monitor.
has that feeling. Don't try to be something. The worst for every candidate, do not try to be what you are not.
Governor
And that-
Christie, yeah,
Uh-huh.
Rob, keep
That's
going.
fine.
On that point,
Great, buddy.
What do you tell
Fantastic.
Can he look presidential? He's a small town mayor. Has he proven he can win? Is he proving that he's electable?
Nope.
No, not yet. He's got
Nope.
an opportunity tonight. I would urge him.
Nope,
if
nope,
I
nope.
coached him tonight,
This is
he
nope, nope, nope.
Is to show fire tonight too.
Nope.
No, and give people a reason why you want to be president.
Hey, what's up,
beyond
Dan?
you want to be president.
All right, looks like
States
we're
wants to be
rolling now.
president. What's he
Let me
gonna
pop
do
this
for
chat
the
out
people
so I
who
can
are
see what
watching
people say
tonight?
without.
What is different about
Haven't
a
looked
Pete
at anything
Buttigieg
else, all right.
presidency than would be different about a Bernie Sanders?
I have no idea if I'm about to make this
presidency?
3 hours.
Buttigieg has made that case.
Jesus
He hasn't come near it
Christ.
Yet. He's got another opportunity tonight, and let me tell you, everyone's going to be watching Pete Buttigieg tonight, so he's got a shot.
All right, guys, we got 30 seconds. What you guys are looking
Yeah.
for? Stick to 30 seconds.
It's Sterling Insights
There's 5
here.
seconds.
You
Oh my
just
goodness.
lost 20.
No. I want to see real issues. I want to see people.
Real
promote.
issues.
I want to see somebody take on Donald Trump. He's had a big week this week, and I would actually advise.
I'm so sick of hearing that. I really am. I'm sick of hearing take on Donald Trump. This is not the time. We're not running against Donald. Nobody's running against Donald Trump for anything right now.
Defend yourself off the attacks, and I think while we're all trying to fight the fight.
Put your pants on first before your shoes, you idiots.
Ignore the other people and go right to the voter.
Governor Christie.
It's that simple. Welcome. We have more people popping in. Very cool.
Before each debate was what, and especially a crowded debate like this one. What's the one message?
Feel free to chat with me. I can see what you say.
No matter what I'm asked.
Sorry, my upload speeds are not that great.
Every chance they can.
I would say, what is the values that you want to see as the Democratic Party of the 21st
I know.
century?
What the fuck is anyone listening to Chris Christie for about anything other than fast food
2021? What is
recommendations?
it that you're going to tell the American people?
And for that, I go to Bill Oakley.
Tonight?
I'm curious about.
Of course, I'm a Bernie guy in Georgia.
She's actually not all
He's
that
the only
far
one.
behind Bernie Sanders in the front runner. She's in third place in a race with a lot of.
Hell yeah, a lot of Bernie guys in Georgia.
Unproven front runners.
Maybe not
This
most
should
of
be
the state,
for her,
but
so not a lot of excuses to finish like third or fourth here.
we ain't all a bunch of,
backstories, and she
you
might
know,
be one tonight. Who knows?
Yes,
skull
so much to watch. It's going to be
spitting,
such a pivotal night,
you know,
an incredible night for politics.
fucking
for
reactionary
Democrats
pieces
and
of
for all
shit.
viewers at home. Thanks so much for watching ABC News Live. Stay right here on ABC News for all the news, context, and analysis right after the debate. The ABC News Democratic debate starts right now.
Oh, fantastic. This is really weird because I'm literally tuning in to hear like basically one guy speak and hear what everyone has to say about one guy. You know, everyone else is garbage. Hey, take that down a little bit. It's lame ass music.
The race is on. The first votes
All right.
have been cast,
Come on,
and
man.
tonight, the candidates are here.
Yay.
Our New Hampshire debate starts right now.
This is a
They might.
ABC News special.
That's true, Rhett.
On the cusp of changing
Oh, okay,
the
you're gonna
game
listen to this
for
little.
ordinary Americans. We want a government that represents all of us.
We need a
King shit.
not only ready to fight, but is also ready to heal this country.
We know that we win by
Ah,
bringing
stapler!
people with us instead of shutting.
We need solutions that will actually move our communities and our country forward.
Who are you again?
First thing
Oh,
we're
wait.
going to have to do is inspire people.
That guy loves Bernie Sanders. That's the one thing I know about him.
Americans do big things. That's who we are.
Live from St. Anselm.
Lower my
College
mic or
in
higher the
Manchester,
stream?
New
Yes.
Hampshire. Here now, Chief Anchor George
Hang on a second.
Stephanopoulos.
Good evening and welcome to Manchester, New Hampshire. We are honored to be here at St. Anselm College with our partners, Apple News and WMUR, for tonight's Democratic debate. And what a week it has been in American politics. We heard from the President at the State of the Union. The Senate.
All right, that should be better.
President Trump.
Let me know how that is, Steve/everyone.
Who, after
Thanks.
days of confusion, seemed to have delivered a split decision to Bernie Sanders and Pete Buttigieg. 4 days from now, the voters here in New Hampshire will weigh in. The chair of New Hampshire's Democratic Party said today that this is probably the most consequential New Hampshire primary debate ever. We're going to do our best to make it a full and fair test.
Yeah, I
And
bet.
I'm joined in the question tonight by my colleagues.
Get ready to see everyone throw fire at Bernie.
ABC News Live anchor Lindsay
Like a shitload.
Candidates have qualified for tonight's presidential
People are freaking out, both side of the media and the party.
All are seeking the Democratic Party's nomination for President of the United States. Tonight, for the first time, you can experience the debate with live.
If there are any problems with the sound levels, you guys, sorry, I don't mean to say. I'm used to saying guys as a, but I don't mean to be gender specific. If everyone has problems with the sound, let me know.
Suggestions on the Apple News live feed, and our team will be pouring through it all.
We are excited to be here on the beautiful campus of St. Anselm College, home of the Hawks, and home also of our 4 debates, the last 4 presidential elections. And here in the Sullivan Arena, we are joined by a live audience of 1,400 people, most invited by the Democratic National Committee, and of course, some of the brightest minds of the student body.
Thanks, Anthropod, right back at you. Or Anthropoid.
News anchor Monica Hernandez and political director Adam Sexton from our partner WMUR with questions that are especially important to the voters here in New Hampshire.
How much do you think was spent on makeup for this?
The candidates' current standings in recent state and national polls, with the leading candidates in the center. So let's welcome the candidates.
It's just, I think it's a southern. It's because I'm a southern dude. That's not the only reason, but that's just how I grew up talking. I would say guys to anyone, but I know most people consider guys as a
Minnesota Senator
Men.
Amy Klobuchar.
Yeah. Somewhere there's a staffer whose wound is aching right now. Ooh, the left hand shake. Snake. 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 Snake.
Joe Biden.
Yeah, whatever.
Senator Bernie Sanders.
King. King.
Former South Bend, Indiana Mayor Pete
I have a bump on my head, sorry. Ugh.
Businessman Andrew Yang.
I want to see Pete get ripped into. By the way, this is 22 streams. Thank you guys for watching, hanging out with me. I really appreciate it. It's great.
President of the United States.
Normally, I'd be watching this with the Majority Report crew. I'm no substitute for the Majority Report crew, but I'll do what I can. All right.
And as the candidates
Oh my God.
to the podium, the
So
rules
many
of this
pictures,
debate are very
whatever.
basic. They've been established in advance. Candidates will in fact have 1 minute, 15 seconds to answer a direct question and 45 seconds for a rebuttal or a response as directed by one of the
So far, these rules have meant nothing in any debate that I've seen.
indicating how much time they have
They've just
and what
ignored the
time
shit out of
will
them.
turn red. So here now, the New Hampshire Democratic debate.
Candidates, welcome. Vice President Biden, the first question is for you.
Why do you suck
The last
ass so
few days
bad?
You've been saying that Democrats will be taking too big a risk if they nominate Senator Sanders or Mayor Buttigieg. But they came out on top in Iowa. What risk? did
They
Democrats
came out on
take?
top.
Well, they didn't miss anything.
Wrong.
This is a long
Wrong.
race. I took a hit in Iowa, and I'll probably take a hit here.
Mhm.
Traditionally, Bernie won by 20 points last time. And
Set those expectations. Yep.
But I'm no matter what, I'm still in this for the same reason. We have to restore the soul of this country, bring back, make sure we bring people together. And so it's a simple proposition. It doesn't matter whether it's this one or the next. I've always viewed the first 4 encounters, 2 primaries and 2 caucuses, as the start.
Encounters?
And so that's how I view it.
But why are Senator Sanders
What?
and Mayor Buttigieg too big a risk for Democrats?
Well, you know that with regard to Senator Sanders, the president wants very much to stick a label on every candidate. We're going to not only have to win this time, we have to bring along the United States Senate.
Mhm.
And, Bernie's labeled himself, not me, a democratic socialist. I think that's the label that the president's going to lay on everyone running.
Oh, no.
Nominee.
Mm.
And, Mayor Buttigieg is a great guy. And,
Yeah, everybody remember when Obama got called a socialist and then lost the presidential election in 2008. Poor guy.
demonstrated he has the ability to, and we'll soon find out, to get a broad scope of support across the
Fucking
spectrum,
idiot.
including African Americans and Latinos.
Senator Sanders, let me give you the chance to respond first. President Trump certainly thinks this label socialism
Bloodless.
will work. At the State of the Union, he
Bloodless,
said
Joe.
socialism destroys
Sleepy.
Americans. He's never going to let socialism destroy American health care. And before the Super Bowl, he joked with Sean Hannity about your honeymoon in Moscow. Those hits are going to keep coming if you're the nominee. Why shouldn't Democrats be worried?
Because Donald Trump lies all the time.
Yeah! He does! About everything! Who cares?
State of affairs, it really is. People say terrible things about Joey has.
Fix his mic, ABC.
About Amy, about anybody else.
Thank
who's
you.
up here.
Garbage.
But I think, George, that at the end of the day, the way we...
I guess they shouldn't check
Everybody
his.
up here, by the way, is united. No matter who wins this damn thing, we're all going to stand together to defeat them.
Of course we are!
I believe that the way we beat Trump is by having the largest voter turnout in the history of this country. And that is appealing to working class people who have given up on the political process because they don't believe that anybody is hearing their pain, perceiving that
This
pain.
is the guy!
and we got to bring young people into the political process. I'm very proud that in Iowa, we won the popular vote by 6,000 votes. What was most significant is we increased
Bernie won.
turnout.
Hey, Kennedy.
People under 29 by over 30%. We do that nationally, we're going to defeat Donald
That's right. Boom. Fire.
Move on, but you know, back in Iowa, the turnout this year was about the same as it was in 2016, far below what it was in 2008 when President Obama won.
And that's a disappointment, and I think all of us probably could have done a better job in bringing out our supporters.
Maybe if the Democratic Party in Iowa was on board with that project too, just broadly speaking, as a you know, general civic duty to increase participation in the political process. It's not like you guys had any fucking help.
Let me just ask, is anyone else on the stage concerned about having a democratic socialist?
Shut the fuck up! You just want to throw it out there. Anyone else want to kneecap him? Fuck off, George Stephanopoulos. You gremlin little motherfucker.
We are not going to be able to outdivide the divider-in-chief. And I think we need someone to head up this ticket that actually brings people with her instead of shutting them out. And when I look at a state like New Hampshire, that had a very, very close election last time in 2016, I see a state that
I don't care.
voter turnout, fired up Democrats.
I don't care, Amy.
By the way, Bernie, when I led the
Still too loud? Yeah.
highest voter turnout of any state in the country. But I add to that being able to bring in independents like you have in this state, as well as moderate Republicans, because there are so many of them out there that are looking for a candidate. And truthfully,
Testing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Bring it down some more. Let me know how that is. I can turn it down as a software level, but button's right there. Whatever. Shut up, Amy.
I don't think there's any question, George, that after this week, there's a real threat that Donald Trump can get reelected. And I don't think there's any.
Why? Why after this week do you say that?
We're going to beat him. Actually, is the way that Bernie Sanders said, which is to get turnout across the spectrum of Democratic voters. And that means we're going to have to appeal across the spectrum. Moderates
has not held elected office. If I was writing the car, I would just say likes Bernie. Just likes Bernie. That's why I was running.
in November, and we can't choose a candidate who can't do that. And I am doing that right now with 24% of blacks down in South Carolina, with high numbers in Nevada. That's what it's going to take, is turnout. But turnout
is that true? Huh. You have 24% support in the black community in South Carolina? That's fucking insane. That's fucking insane. No way, right? I don't care about this guy either. Look at his math pen. You fucking nerd. He's right about that. I do think the left could stand to appreciate the rapid pace of change that technology has brought, but I don't think that's an answer to our problems.
Instead of following GDP and corporate profits off a cliff, we should be measuring our own health and wellness, life expectancy, mental health and freedom from substance abuse, clean air, clean water, how our kids are doing.
Freedom from substance abuse. How many people know somebody who's totally straight edge? No caffeine, nicotine, alcohol, never. No drugs of any kind. No, who lives like that? Maybe a few people. But.
Senator Sanders says, I'm not. Is that your biggest difference with Senator Sanders?
Oh, Bernie and I have been friends for a long time. We have a lot of things in common. We have a lot of things that we differ on. But you know, there's a fundamental question about how we bring our party.
Didn't answer the question.
We have to think about it.
Immediately ducked it.
People across this country, whether they're Democrats, Independents, or Republicans, Republicans. Understand
Snake.
we have a government right now that works great.
Where my snake emojis at in the chat?
Drug companies.
Hey, 25 of y'all. I don't see a single goddamn snake emoji. I'm ashamed. I'm ashamed of my audience. Come on, y'all.
When you see a government that works great, for those who can hire armies of lobbyists and lawyers and make big campaign donations, and it's not working so great for everyone else, that is corruption pure.
Yeah, here we go. Mark wins. Mark M is your king. Bow to him. Yeah. Honestly, I think we should be on the side of people who don't work so hard too. Honestly. if you're kind of a lazy sack of shit, I want you to know. I still think you deserve health care. I do. I got a nice haircut, don't he? Thank you. I'm not. The chat, I'm so proud of you. I take it all back. Look at all them snakes. Look at all them snakes. Made me happy. He's 30. He is like 4 years older than me. I sure do, Amber. I'm sorry I'm not very handsome. I also have good lighting or anything.
The biggest risk we could take at a time like this would be to go up against that fundamentally new challenge by trying to fall back on the familiar, or trying to unite this country at a moment when
malfunction, CPU error.
When our nominee is dividing people with a politics that says if you don't go all the way to the edge, it doesn't count. A politics that says it's my way or the highway.
I'm sorry, he does look like a rat. He does. He has a rat face.
We've got to bring as many people as we can into this process. Look,
That's what he does. Oh, thank you, Amber. I'll tell my wife that.
but the process of actually proving it is now underway. And now it comes to New Hampshire, a state that thinks for itself.
You talk about bringing people into the process. Nobody's doing that but Bernie. Nobody. Not even close.
And inclusion and belonging, not one that beats people over the head and says they shouldn't even be on their side if we don't agree 100% of the time.
Senator Sanders, your response.
I know it's kind of cute, isn't it, Dan?
Let me tell you what I do say.
I'm gonna listen to this though.
The way you bring people together is by presenting an agenda that works for the working people of this country, not for the billionaire class. The way you bring people together, Republicans, Independents, Democrats.
Pete's got a lot of big business support behind him now. They're lining up.
The way you bring people together is to make it clear that we're not going to give tax breaks to billionaires and large corporations. They're going to start paying their fair share of taxes. That's what the American people want. And I'll tell you something else. The way you bring people together is by ending the international disgrace of this country being the only major nation on earth not to guarantee health care to all people as a human right.
We're the last ones! The last ones!
By telling the pharmaceutical industry that
Put your hand down, kid.
times more for the same prescription
Oh, so I smacked that wrist with a ruler.
on the future. That's how you bring people together and you defeat Donald Trump.
Buttigieg, you just heard Senator
They want Pete and Bernie to fight tonight.
I think there's a better way. You know, it's true. The American people are ready. There's a historic majority right now. Even broader than what was available to President Obama a decade ago, there is now a majority ready to act to make sure there is no such thing as an uninsured American and no such thing as an unaffordable prescription. Just so long as we don't command people to accept a public plan if they don't want to.
Command people.
My point is, what we're offering is campaigning for all of these things that America wants. Yes, higher wages,
doubling the rate of unionization in this country, making corporations and the wealthy pay their fair share, delivering.
I want them to also fight,
but also offering.
And I want to see. I would kind of like to see Biden take a few swings and miss at Bernie, and hopefully, you know, spin around comically and just fall over. Says nothing. Pete says nothing when he talks.
And, we have to have Medicare for all. But Bernie says, and he says he wrote the damn thing, but he's unwilling to sell what the damn thing's going to cost. The fact that we're in New Hampshire.
Yeah, let's listen to me lie about how much it'll cost instead.
How much is it going to cost?
Come at me, bro.
It costs more than the entire federal budget we spend now. More than the entire budget.
He's just lying.
Middle class taxes aren't going to go up is just crazy.
Bernie has not said that.
What happened?
Hey, lift his bagels up.
And then had a 14%
Welcome.
tax on withholding, and they finally did away with it. So how much is it going to cost? When Bernie, you ask Bernie that, I'll ask him again tonight sometime. If you ask Bernie,
No, if I remember.
I don't know. I think that was PBS. He said, we'll find
God damn, still too high? All right.
Imagine you're going to unite the country, walking into the Congress, say, I got this bill. It's going to provide Medicare for everybody. I can't tell you how much it's going to cost. We'll find out later. It's likely to be double whatever everything we spend in the federal government. Who do you think is going to get that passed? I busted my neck getting Obamacare passed, getting every Democratic vote. I know how hard it is.
Senator Sanders.
Well, for a start, what the studies show, if we do what Joe wants, we'll be spending some $50 trillion on health care over the next 10 years. That's the status quo, Joe. That's what Health and Human Services says. What we have got to do, Joe, what we have got to do is understand. Simple question, Joe. We are spending twice as much per capita on health care as do the people of any other country. Maybe it has something to do with the fact that the healthcare industry last year made $100 billion in profit. Maybe it has something to do with the fact that we are wasting $500 billion a year trying to administer thousands and thousands of different plans. What Medicare for All will do is save the average American substantial sums of money. Substantial, be much less expensive than your plan. And we will expand Medicare to include dental care, eyeglasses, hearing aids, and home health care as well.
Vice President Biden, 30-second response, then Senator Klobuchar after that.
30-second
Yeah, 30 seconds response.
30-second response. My proposal gives you a choice. You're going to be covered. You have Medicare if you want it. You turn out, we're going to restore all the cuts that they made in Obamacare. We're going to reduce drug prices, reduce prescription prices, reduce co-pays, et cetera. And it costs a lot of money. It costs $750 billion over 10 years. I tell you how I'm going to pay for it. I'm going to raise the capital gains rate so you pay capital gains and what your tax rate is. That'll pay for it. That's $800 billion. But here's the deal. The fact is that it's going to cost, Bernie's plan costs double what the taxpayers are paying for every single program we spend on in the United States of America.
Senator Klobuchar.
I keep listening to this same debate, and it is not real. It is not real, Bernie, because 2/3 of the Democrats in the Senate are not on your bill, and because it would kick 149 million Americans off their current
I still can't hear nothing?
in 4 years. And let me say what else. Elizabeth wants to
No.
do it in 2 years.
I might have to restart.
You have a different plan now. You sent out a tweet just a few years ago that said, henceforth, forthwith, indubitably.
Oh, it sounds fine now.
You are for
Great.
Medicare for all for the ages. And so I would like
Okay,
to
great. Thank
that
you.
leadership is
Sorry, I appreciate your help.
taking a
I really
position,
do.
looking at things and sticking with them. I have long believed that the way that we expand health care to more people and bring down premiums is by building on the Affordable Care Act with a nonprofit.
Oh, Winder.
That is the best way to do it. And
I
practically,
knew a guy named
look at
Jeff from
this.
Winder too
The
once,
Affordable Care
actually.
Act is now nearly 10 times more popular than the President of the United States. So why would we talk about...
Maybe one day if I ever get enough, big enough audience to afford a decent studio setup, and better internet, you'll see You'll see better streaming, more streaming, but till then, this is what this is what you get.
To think about healthcare a little differently, and that 36 million Americans last year couldn't afford to have a prescription filled, and that includes people with health insurance. I want everyone in here to think about what that means.
Snake.
They were worried enough or sick enough that they went to a doctor. A doctor looked
My
at them,
health
they were
insurance
serious enough to
is
write a
decent,
prescription.
and it's such a pain in the ass.
It's either that or groceries. It's
And
not
everyone I
all the
know
time.
who
We
has
have
good
to change
insurance
our healthcare system. The way
fucking hates it. Well, what the fuck?
help to the most
Alright.
people as quickly as we can. How about we start with what a
That wasn't me,
president
that was
can do,
ABC.
I was saying this, all by herself. On day one, I will defend the Affordable Care Act, and I will use march-in orders to reduce the cost of commonly used prescription drugs like insulin and HIV/AIDS drugs and EpiPens. We can start making healthcare better for Americans from the beginning, but we have to agree to do that. We are the Democrats. We are on the side of expanding health care. When we come up against Donald Trump, the team that has been trying to take away health care from millions of people, what's going to matter most is we are the people on the side of those who need health care across
Yeah,
this country.
Medicare is
Democrats are
pretty good, but even it is not. It does not cover everything that it should cover.
Just to be clear, the truth is that I have been
Not even close, I'd
in
say.
my position on delivering
Zach
healthcare
Sherman in the
for every
chat is
American.
right about
And
that.
as to experience, I just bring a different perspective. Look, I freely admit that if you're looking for the
A different perspective, that of a corporate rat-faced fuck.
You've got your candidate, and of course it's not me.
Ooh,
The
God.
perspective I'm bringing
Too
is
much
that of
teeth,
somebody
Joe.
whose life has been shaped by the decisions that are made in those big white buildings in Washington, D.C. Somebody who has guided a community
White
written
buildings,
off
huh?
as dying just a
Damn it.
decade ago through a historic transformation. Somebody who knows what it means to be sent to war on orders that come out of the Situation Room. We need a
Are you
perspective right now that will finally
sent to
allow us to
war?
leave the politics of the past.
Did you know Pete Buttigieg has a map of Afghanistan and Pakistan on his coffee table in his house that shows where all the mineral deposits are? Totally normal fucking thing to have.
Millions and millions of dollars into his city before he came and helped save his city. I was able to do it. I was able to pass the chemical weapons ban, arms control, and I was the first major leader holding public office to call for same-sex marriage. So I don't know what
It's
about
true.
the past of Barack Obama and Joe Biden.
It'd be funny if it
was
was
so
a
bad. What happened? What is
A
it that you
mineral
have to
map
do?
on his fucking
We were
chest.
just beginning. It's just the beginning of what will be the future of moving this country beyond where it is now in significant ways. And there's ways to do that. And one of the ways to do that is to make sure you have someone who knows how to get things done and can lead the free world at the same
Says
time.
nothing. He says nothing. We're gonna do things.
Those achievements were phenomenally important because
What achievements? I'm sick of the pronoun game. What the fuck are you talking
This moment
about?
is different. The next president is going to face challenges from global health security, like what we're seeing coming out of China.
Oh my god, I do not want to hear fear-mongering about the coronavirus right now. I didn't even think about that before the debate.
Gig work transform what it means to be a worker in America in ways that were barely conceived of not that long ago. We cannot solve the problems before us by looking back. We have to be
He
ready
does.
to turn the page and change our
Except like
politics
uglier than the
before
Chuck E.
it's
Cheese
too late.
guy.
And I'm seeing everywhere I go, not just fellow Democrats, but a striking number of independents and what I like to call future former Republicans ready to join in that historic American majority to turn the page.
Senator Klobuchar.
And do what?
I am listening to this about meeting the moment.
Only Bernie talks concretely about what
For a presidential
he's gonna do. They all want to talk endlessly about.
That 59, my age is the new 38 up here. The second thing to think about is this, and that is
My God.
meeting the moment. We had a moment the last few weeks, Mayor, and that moment was these impeachment hearings. And there was a lot of courage that you saw from only a few people. There was courage from Doug Jones, our friend of Alabama, who took the vote. There was courage There was courage from Mitt Romney, who took a very, very difficult...
Is she about to cry?
There was courage, as I read today, about Lieutenant Colonel Vindman being escorted out of the White House. What he took courage. But what you
Is she
said
about to
you
cry?
were campaigning through Iowa, as 3 of us were jurors in that impeachment hearing, you said it was exhausting to watch and that you wanted to turn the channel and watch cartoons. It is easy to go after Washington because that's a popular thing to do. It is much harder, as I see Senator Shaheen in the front row, such a leader. It is much harder to lead and much harder
Oh
to
my
take those
God.
positions. Because I think that
I did not see this
every
coming.
single thing that people do because it's popular to say and makes you look like a cool newcomer. I don't think that's what people want right now.
I'm proud of being lame.
In the White House, and look where it got us.
I'm proud that I'm fascinated with the busy box that is impeachment.
George, look, at the end of the day,
Get him,
we gotta
Bernie.
ask ourselves
Can you
the
please
very
reset this
simple question,
bullshit?
whether it's healthcare, in fact, or anything else. Why are we the only major country on earth that doesn't guarantee health care to
Yes.
people, pay the
Back
highest
to
prices in the world
concrete
for
material
prescription drugs,
concerns.
have 87 million people uninsured or underinsured,
And specifically what we're going to
30,000
do
die
about it.
because they don't get to a doctor on time, and 500,000 people going bankrupt. For what reason? Because they have cancer or heart disease or Alzheimer's. We got to ask that question. Why is it? Why have we been talking about health care in this country for 100 years? And here is
The short answer, Zach, the Democratic Party is garbage because it's become an incumbency protection racket. That's without if you don't allow primaries in your party to refine your membership over time and their beliefs, you get a stage full of these morons and one cool guy.
and tell them sorry. We're not going to pay 10 times more.
I'm
for
sorry to hear that,
prescription
Zach.
drugs than do the people of other country.
My
But at the end of
brother-in-law
the day,
has
there's no
testicular
way
cancer.
around it.
Just
You
lost
may
a
wanna
ball.
nibble around the edges, but ultimately we need to rally the American people to tell the drug companies, to tell Wall Street, to tell the insurance companies, to tell the fossil fuel industry. This country
We're going to talk about climate change, maybe. That'd be cool. This is going to be 3 hours long. We're only a half hour in, but...
On this debate stage from these people, now every single debate, and they're all right. Everybody on this stage is better on economic...
Everyone here is great. I'm Tom Steyer.
and a million times better than Donald Trump. That is not
Yeah,
the question in front of us today.
he's probably going to be
The question in
okay.
front of us today is, how
Very
are we gonna
treatable.
beat Donald Trump?
Very
You
expensive,
were in
but
the Clinton campaign in
treatable.
1992,
He
and the
he
mantra
did
was,
lose
"It's the
a
economy,
testicle,
stupid."
though, yeah.
Well, if you look at what Mr. Trump is saying, he's saying those words. It's the economy, stupid.
He's going to have to do
every one of
chemo
these
for a
people
few months.
a million times more. But we're going to have to take Mr. Trump down on the economy because if you listen to him, he's crowing about it every single day, and he's going to beat us unless we can take him down on the economy, stupid. And that's the issue here. It is not about who
Just
has
call
the
me
best
stupid.
healthcare plan.
Tom Steyer just called you
Healthcare
stupid,
plans are
everyone.
better. A million times.
He
better.
did.
The
I heard him do
question
it.
is, who can go toe-to-toe with Mr. Trump? Who can take down Mr. Trump because he's the real threat to the country? And let me say, you have to have experience to take him down. This is not a question of he's a nice guy who's going to listen. We need people with experience. That's why I'm worried about Mayor Pete.
We need people with experience, so choose me, who has, like, literally never held elected office of any kind. But I have $1 billion.
So many good times, and I love all these people, and they're all right. We can, if we win, we can get the right thing, Bernie. I am with you. If we win, we can get the right thing, Pete and Amy. But we got to win, or we are in deep trouble, and we keep not talking about the facts. Mayor Pete.
Nobody wants to run a primary except Bernie. All of you want to run a general election campaign. It's infuriating.
We're going to win. We're going to force this president.
Shut the fuck up.
Next to somebody who actually lives in a middle-class neighborhood.
What?
In the exact kind of community that he pretends to speak for but turns his back on. We're going to put up somebody who's not afraid to call out things like his disgraceful behavior at the National Prayer Breakfast and remind Americans that God does not belong to a political party.
Really?
We're going to win by
Really?
having somebody up there who can call him to account for his refusal to serve when it was his turn and remind him what serving this country is really about.
Nobody cares about that shit.
We've got to be ready to move.
Everybody knew that shit in 2016, Pete.
That we have relied on in the
Everybody knew Trump was a piece of shit 4 years ago, and he won anyway.
And when I talk about exhaustion, this is important. Because I got to tell you, the American people from outside of Washington, we feel a sense of exhaustion watching the division and the dysfunction there. And that is not to take anything away from the very good work that
Yeah, I think he has
other Democratic members
almost a
of Congress
Ted
and
Cruz
Senate
type
do.
face. You know, just that weird face. You just
The
want to.
reason I raise that sense of exhaustion is I see it. I see that temptation to walk away from it all among so many people that I've spoken to in
Thank you.
communities from Claremont to Manchester and in the other states that we're in. And the important thing for the American people to remember is this is 2020. It's an election year. And if the Senate was the jury...
They sure are giving this rat-faced fuck a lot of time.
The American people are the jury that will have the final verdict.
The ABC in the tank for him.
Senators in the GOP who
That's what I'm taking away from this first half hour.
Missing the lesson of Donald Trump's victory. Donald Trump is not the cause of all of our problems, and we're making a mistake when we act like he is.
That's right.
He is a symptom of a
And then
disease that has been
watch him not
in
tell us what the
communities
cause
for
is.
years and decades, and it is our job to get to the harder work of actually curing the disease. Most Americans
What is the
feel
disease?
Like the political parties have been playing you lose, I lose, you lose, I lose for years, and you know who's been losing this entire time? We have.
So the problem is the political parties have been opposing each
Our
other.
way of life is disintegrating beneath our feet. That's why Iowa, a traditional swing state, went to Trump by almost 10 points.
They all do this. It's so hip to say Trump's a symptom, not the cause. And then they will not define what the cause is, or even one of the causes.
We've automated away 4 million manufacturing jobs and counting. We're closing 30% of New Hampshire stores and malls, and Amazon, the force behind that, is literally paying zero in taxes. These
All right,
are
well,
the
that's true.
changes that Americans are seeing
Amazon, pay your
around us
taxes.
every day. And if we get to the hard work of curing those problems, we will not just defeat Donald Trump in the fall, but we'll actually be able to move our communities forward.
I know we're going to hear a lot more on this. We're going to move on to Lindsay Davis.
Thank you, George. Good evening, candidates. We come to you, of course, just 48 hours after the acquittal of President Trump, a process that certainly crystallized the divide
Impeachment
in
time.
our country. Senator Warren, I want to start with you. You have said that on day one of your presidency, one of your first orders of business will be to order your Justice Department to launch new investigations into the Trump administration. After a grueling impeachment and what is likely to be a polarizing election, is investigating President Trump the best way to try to unify the country?
Look, I think no one is above the law, and that includes the President of the United States. We watched on Wednesday.
What about all those people who won't like it when you?
Locked arms to protect him
Oh my
from
God.
impeachment. But we need to reestablish
Who gives a shit about those
the
people?
rule of
That's
law
my
in
answer.
this country. I believe in an independent commission in our Justice Department that investigates crimes committed by our own government. It is an important part of accountability. It is an important part for every administration that we hold ourselves accountable to the American people. Look, people around this country are losing faith in our government. They're losing faith that government works for them. They see a government that just works great if you're rich. It works great if you're a lobbyist. It works great if you're a corporate executive. But they see themselves and their children with less.
One easy way to
less,
unite the
and
country
less.
would
And
be
we could do something about
to
it.
just
It's
let
not enough
President
simply to
Trump
talk
be
about
President
the
Trump,
future.
and we all
We
just accept
have to
that.
be willing
That would unify
to
us all.
stand up to those who now control our government and make that government instead work for us. We can do child care in this country for every baby. We can invest in our public schools. We can cancel student loan debt for 43 million Americans.
Or we could do it for all of them.
We are willing to take control of our government away from the giant corporations and billionaires, return it to the people. This is about our government. This is about our democracy. This is about our future.
Mr. Yang, the notion of a leader
Even she's
throwing
getting
the
into
president
this like
before the
vague
jail
kind of
is
like,
not the way things are done here in the
future
United
vision,
States. It
turning the
would make it,
page.
quote, very
No
hard for any
specifics.
party to
Very
govern
few.
sustainably
A
moving
few
forward.
specifics.
Does that mean that any alleged misconduct by the president or his administration should not be investigated?
There are, of course, limits, and you have to see what the facts are on the ground after you assume office. But the fact is, if you look around the world, the countries that have thrown past
If you played a
presidents into
game
jail
where
have
you, every time
generally
you
developed
heard
in
a
countries,
cliche, you had
and
to drink,
unfortunately,
you'd
that's a
be dead
pattern
by
that
now.
once you establish is very, very hard to break. What's a more American tradition? We move the country forward. We don't focus on the mistakes of the leaders that are leaving office. Most Americans do not care about what a particular individual did so much as they care about their families, well-being, their community, their town. That's where Americans focus wants. They want the American president. They want the president, of course, the American president. Sorry about that. They want the president to be focused on that. That's where our attention should be. We should not fall into a pattern that has been disastrous in other countries.
Senator Sanders.
What?
Along with Elizabeth and Amy, we sat for 2 weeks listening to the impeachment process. And here's what I think the horror and the danger of what happened was: not only the acquittal of Trump, who in fact committed impeachable offenses and obstructed Congress, it is the precedent that is set.
Win those libs, Bernie. Win those libs.
And what that precedent is about now is, in the future, you're going to have presidents who say, hey, Governor, you want highway money? You better support me, or you're not going to get it, because I am the president. I can do anything I want. Hey, Congress, you want to investigate me? Don't be ridiculous. Who cares about the Congress? Who cares about
I mean, he
the
is right
separation
about
of
this.
powers? Who cares about the Constitution of the president?
It does set
In
a
the United States, I have all
bad
the power.
precedent that like impeachment's basically dead as a mechanism for it means
You have
anything.
Republicans in the Senate who knew better. They knew that Donald Trump is a crook. They knew that Donald Trump is a cheat. But they didn't have the guts, with the exception of Romney, to vote against him. That is a
Yeah. Name check Romney.
So, I did start the
Get those never Trumpers, Bernie. They'll vote for you.
And my father was one of the people who prosecuted the Nazi war criminals after World War II.
Nope.
And that's part of the reason I started.
What did you?
All
Alright.
Really wrong in the United
So
States.
congratulations
Stand up
on
and
coming out of his
fight
ball
it.
sack.
And that's what I was doing. But the Republicans have rolled over. They've had a sham trial. They've refused to have witnesses. They've covered up the truth for the American people. And it doesn't matter.
They're all just saying
anymore
the
that he's
same
a crook.
bullshit
He's always been a crook, and he always
about
will be a
this. They've been saying.
Right now, what we have to do is we have to beat him in November. And we have to beat him because he's incompetent and bad for the American
I mean, it's true, guy's a crook,
And that's the case
and
we
it's
have to
true
make now.
that
Is he a crook? I knew that 2 years
you know
ago.
this impeachment
Is he gonna be
fucking
more of a
sucked
crook
ass.
now that he believes he can get
Got away with it,
everything?
but
Of course he is. But the job of the people on this
that was always gonna.
is to beat
That was
him
always
in
a foregone
November.
conclusion. All of that
That's
was
gonna
always
be
a
based
foregone
on what
conclusion.
we can deliver for the American people. The
And it's
fact
been
that
that way
he's
for literally
incompetent
months.
as a president, his economy
don't
isn't
know what else to
delivering
say.
for working people. The jobs don't.
I don't care
for
about
people to live
impeachment.
on. We've got to take him down on the economy.
Not
and get him
really.
Out of the White House as soon as possible.
I do recognize that Bernie needs to. He's a senator, and he's got to. He has to say what he has to say about it. Even if it's not his top
Do you think
priority.
that there's a danger for the Democratic Party to nominate a candidate who is still under the threat of investigation?
No. And we're not going to let them.
What?
This is not about.
Oh, they're trying to get him to go after Biden, I guess, right? Yeah. Pete's not gonna do that. No, play nice, play nice.
The vice president and I and all of us are concerned that we've got to draw a line here. And to be the kind of president, to be the kind of human being
Some cheese.
who would
Want some cheese?
turn someone against
So
his
hungry.
own son, who would seek to weaponize a son against his own father.
He's standing for Hunter Biden.
We as a party have to be completely united in doing whatever it takes.
Hey,
at
look.
the end of the day.
Some people have bastard grandsons on the stage, and that's fine. It's fine. It's fine to have bastard grandchildren and run for president. It's cool.
Here's the
Good.
deal. Whomever the nominee is, the president's going to make up lies about. He thinks he has free reign right now. One of the things that I think
Biden
we
didn't.
have to be authentic
Move on.
with the American people about what we're going to do and how we're going to
He don't want to talk about this.
Colonel Vindman got thrown out of the White House today, walked out. I think we should.
I don't know what the fuck
He should be.
they're talking this Colonel Vigeland stuff. I don't know what happened today.
And I think.
I hadn't heard anything.
I think what we should be doing now.
But I was working earlier, so.
Colonel Vindman a show of how much we supported him. Stand up and clap for Vindman.
Yeah. You fucking rubes. Oh, you fucking sucker. Sit down. Sit down. Oh, you suckers. Sit down and shut the fuck up. It's cheap.
Okay, sure. The Democratic Party's last presidential nominee, Hillary Clinton, has criticized Senator Bernie Sanders' record in the Senate, saying nobody likes him, nobody wants to work with him, he got nothing done. Senator Klobuchar, you serve with Senator Sanders in the Senate. Is he going to be able to get the support? Not if you like it, but is he going to be able to get the support that he needs?
What the fuck? That's Biden giving up. That's Biden giving up. That's what that was.
Including pharmaceuticals. We actually had a vote late at night one time, Klobuchar-Sanders amendment, to bring in less. No. It was not. To bring in less expensive drugs from other countries, since in this great state of New Hampshire, like in Minnesota and Vermont, we can see Canada from our porch. And we ended up getting, I think, 14 Republicans.
She didn't want to go after him either.
Notice what was happening late at night, but we got those.
He's too powerful.
It is just an example.
Can't attack him head on.
It's
too strong.
Listening to this discussion, I agree with my colleagues.
It's dangerous.
We must unite, but the way that we unite is by having an optimistic economic agenda for America. That is what we must do, and that means taking on a president. If you want to talk about being tough enough to take him on, taking on a president that literally went down to Mar-a-Lago after he signed that Republican
She don't look that tough to me.
and looked at all his friends and said,
Throw this out to the chat. Chat.
That is exhibit.
Could you take Amy Klobuchar in a fist fight?
And those dairy
If you had to. If she was coming at you with, murder in her eyes.
Michigan, that is an exhibit A. And we have to be
Let
able to
me
make
know.
the case to the working people of this country, some of whom voted for Donald Trump, that we have something better to offer, that we are going to take those incredibly regressive parts of that tax bill and put that money
She pivoted away, but you'll notice she did not say that, like, no, Bernie is actually a loser and can't get anything.
Republican support in order to pass his bills.
That I don't know. I know we did on that bill, but the point is, I think we're better off with someone that has the receipts, someone that has actually won big time with Republicans and independents.
You got screen caps up there?
The only one up on this stage, you can check it out, that has consistently won in red congressional districts. Not once, not twice, but 3 times. And when I did it, I didn't just do it for me. I led a ticket. I flipped the state house every single time because I have a way of working with people that I think should be valued here as we look at these candidates. And it's one of the reasons that I got the New York Times endorsement along with Elizabeth.
You got half an endorsement from the nation's shittiest neoliberal newspaper. Congratulations.
Sentinel. I think that matters. Read those editorials and you will.
Yeah, read them. They're glowing.
Senator Sanders.
I must confess, I don't get too many newspaper editorial support.
The Conway endorsement.
I did. We're very proud of that.
There we go.
But let me just.
Oh, thanks. Okay, good. Now, great. Okay, good.
I think, quite honestly, as we face one of the great political crises facing America, our job is to look forward and not back to 2016. And I hope that Secretary Clinton and all of us can come together and move in that direction.
He's actually
Now,
speaking to the
in
question
terms of Republicans, let me say
about Clinton.
that in my own great state of
Which
Vermont,
everyone forgot
my
about.
memory is correct, Amy. I got 25% of the Republican vote.
He is sharp, isn't he? Man.
In fact, there were periods when I was in the
God, he's
House
old, but he really is sharp. I'm clearly biased, but
more amendments on the floor of the House in a bipartisan way than any other member of the House. And
That's
that is
true.
when you,
He did.
When you bring people together on an issue. There are many conservative Republicans.
One of the things that he did
who are concerned about
to make that
civil
happen was
liberties.
he
They
wouldn't
used
take
to be
credit for it.
concerned about
He
civil
would
liberties. There are Republicans, as you know, who are concerned about the high cost of prescription drugs.
he wouldn't insist his name
There are ways
be on it
that
or
we
tell
can
people that
work with
partnered
Republicans
with him.
on issues where we have a common basis. Let's do that.
David.
Lindsay, thank you. Good evening, all. I want to turn to America's
House is
role
packed
in the
with Pete
world and
supporters.
readiness to be commander-in-chief
At least
on
half
day
of them.
one. Just this week, you saw it. During the State of the Union, President Trump offered an indication of what he'll tout on the campaign trail. He celebrated the U.S. airstrike that killed top Iranian General Qasem Soleimani, saying Soleimani was the Iranian regime's most ruthless butcher, a monster who
We're still doing this.
thousands of American service members.
Really? God damn it.
Mayor Buttigieg, you're the only veteran standing on this stage, and while there's still debate
In-
about whether
in the
this
tank.
is an imminent threat,
In the
there's
tank
no
form.
debate about whether or not Soleimani was a bad actor.
Softballs, tons of time. Softballs, tons of time.
About Soleimani, if your national
In the
security
tank for that
gave you
rat-faced
the
fuck.
opportunity to strike, would Soleimani have been dead, or would he still be alive under your presidency?
He's their last hope.
Situation that we saw with President Trump.
He's their last hope.
There is no evidence that that made our country
To stop Bernie,
safer. Look,
I think.
I feel very strongly about the campaign of murder and mayhem that General Soleimani and his units have perpetrated. It's also the case that if we learned nothing else from the war in Iraq, it's that taking out a bad guy is not a good idea if you do not know what you were
Pete,
doing.
you're a pro at destabilizing regions of the Middle East. What's your take on
It
this?
didn't start with the Soleimani strike. It started with withdrawing us from the Iran nuclear deal that his own administration certified was working. And it's time for us to recognize that every time a step is taken that moves us
I'll be right back. Let me get a
towards
snack.
war, that has incredibly serious consequences for those who serve. By chance, just because I was traveling for the campaign, not long ago I ran into somebody that I hadn't seen since we were both serving. Hadn't seen since she was injured in an insider attack. And I saw her coming down the concourse in the airport wearing a Wounded Warrior Project t-shirt that said, "Some assembly required." And when I asked her how she was doing, she lifted up her knee and tapped on the part of her leg that they couldn't save, tapped on the prosthetic, and said the Navy had fixed her up just fine. And then let me know that she was looking forward to an upcoming deployment. People in our uniform will do whatever the United States requires of them. What they deserve in return is a president who will actually read the intelligence, pay attention to the international security situation, consult with our allies, keep U.S. politics out of it, and never commit our troops to a situation where they would have to go into harm's way if there is an alternative.
Mayor Buttigieg, let me just press further on this, though, because President Trump has signaled in a general election campaign he will celebrate his willingness to order that strike. I'm asking, if your national security team came to you and presented you with the opportunity, would you take the strike?
It depends on the circumstances. It depends if there was an alternative, and it depends what the different effects would be. That's my point. This is not an episode of 24. This is a situation that requires that you actually evaluate the entire intelligence picture. This president has insulted the intelligence community, but they put their lives on the line to gather the information.
Still going on?
The decision maker evaluate whether or not something like that is justified. And I don't think he even reads it.
Just got some
And here we have a
peanuts.
situation where the world, one of the most volatile places in the world, has just become more dangerous at the hands of a president who has no regard for the military. Not only punishing a war hero today with what he did to Colonel Vindman, but pardoning war criminals.
What the fuck happened today with Vindman? They can't shut the fuck up about it. I mean, I'm sure it was bad, but he was still in the White House because he had already narked on Trump.
The Obama administration was aware of the threat that Soleimani posed. So was the Bush administration before it. I'm asking tonight, as Commander-in-Chief, though, would you have ordered the strike?
No, and the reason I wouldn't have ordered the strike, there's no evidence yet of imminent threat that was going to come from him. Look what happened. His America First policy has made America alone. You cannot think of a time, David, as long as you've been alive, when NATO has said
All this is just so vacuous.
and to Iran made a moral equivalence. Both of you stand down.
I mean, yeah, like you shouldn't kill the guy, but Honestly, the fucking problem is that we're needlessly entangled in like their backyard.
You saw what happened when that air raid, when those missiles were
If you want goodwill from them, maybe start by drawing down. I don't know. Adopting the most militant posture.
Were wounded. I don't know what I would have done if my son were still there. I would have been so damn angry. I don't know what I would have done.
Yeah, bring up your son. Bring up your son some more. Was Hunter in Iraq trying to buy sex or something? Like, what the fuck?
That's all they are. This guy doesn't deserve to be.
That's why we lost Iraq. We sent Hunter Biden to Iraq. That was a mistake.
Assassinating a government official, you would not have ordered the strike.
Right. Look, here is the danger, David. There are very bad leaders all over the world. Kim Jong-un in North Korea is probably responsible.
I don't know how effective this is as an argument, but it's what I say. World's full of evil men and women, and many of them have political power. They don't all need to die.
Who murdered Khashoggi in cold blood and dismembered his body. You have Putin in Russia, who has been involved in political assassinations of his enemies. You got Xi in China, who's put 1 million Muslims into concentration camps.
Ooh, whoa, Bernie, be careful.
You're a bad guy. We're going to assassinate you.
President Xi now, he's different.
If that happens, you're opening the door to international
Just kidding.
that every government in the world will then be subjected to attacks and assassination. What we have got to do, which Trump does not understand,
Fight fire with water,
strengthen the State
not with fire.
Department and our diplomatic capabilities.
Should have said Modi instead of President Xi. Kennedy's laughing. Honestly, I think it's a much clearer example of a right-wing nationalist who's getting ready to ethnically cleanse huge parts of his country. And it's explicitly a right-wing figure for sure. China's a little more complicated. I'm not trying to stand for China, but Modi is a fucking fascist. President Xi, I don't think is a fascist. Authoritarian, but no, maybe tomato to you, but
we were on the ground in Afghanistan and in Iraq in recent months, and the generals told us that the U.S. needs some U.S. presence on the ground, U.S. Special Forces, some presence to go after ISIS and the terrorists. If you're commander-in-chief, would you listen to the generals, or do they fall into the category of the generals you mentioned before?
Look, I sit on Senate Armed Services Committee, so I get to the...
I wish you could just say in this country, hey, let's just not listen to the fucking generals. How about they don't drive our military policy? The civilian government should. They should do what they're fucking told.
Ask the hard questions about what's happening, to ask our generals, to ask their generals, to ask people who are on the ground. And the bottom line is nobody sees a solution to this war. Nobody can describe what winning looks like. All they can describe is endless war. And I realize there are people on this debate stage who are willing to say, yeah, we'll leave our troops there for 5 more years, for 10 more years. Lindsey Graham has said he's willing to leave troops for 100 more years. And yet, what has all these years of war brought us?
Lindsey Graham running for president, Democratic primary?
Controls less than 60%
News to me.
of the land. People don't have faith in it. It's a corrupt government.
Don't give a shit.
The opium trade is higher than ever. Look,
Tom Steyer, put your goddamn hand down.
and they did their best. They were there for us.
You gonna pipe up and tell everyone that everyone on the stage will be a better president on foreign policy than Trump? Is that what you're gonna say?
Work that cannot be solved militarily. It is time to
I'm sorry if my eating on the stream is bothering you. I'll pause it for now. I really need some peanuts. It's gonna be a long night, folks. It's only 9 o'clock. 2 more hours is bullshit.
Would you listen? Would you leave them?
So I want to hear the plan. Not just a, we need it now, we need it for the next day, we need it for the 6 months, and I want to know where our allies are. We all have an interest in dealing with terrorism and controlling terrorism, but that means it can't just be the United States waging endless war. That does not make us safer. It does not make the region safer. It does not make the world safer.
What the fuck is she doing?
Allies in managing terrorism, but we need to end this war in Afghanistan. We cannot wait 5 more years or 10 more years or until
I thought it was supposed to be 8 to 11.
Times.
That's what I
We
saw.
need to bring our combat troops home.
Senator Warren, thank you.
I was
I
gonna
wanna
try to
take
make
this
it all the way
Vice
to 11.
President, because you have said of Senator Warren's comments before that the United States should get out of the Middle East. You have said, I quite frankly was surprised that I have never heard anyone say with any serious
All right, concentrate,
background in
Joe.
foreign
Concentrate.
policy that we should pull all troops out of the Middle East. Is Senator Warren wrong on this?
I'm not sure what if she wants to pull all troops out of the Middle East. But if she does want to put all troops out of the Middle East, we saw what happened when that happened. I helped put together a 61-nation group to take out ISIS.
We saw what happened
Fewer than 5,000
when that happened. Did we withdraw from the Middle East? And I wasn't paying attention?
The Kurds lost 10,000 lives.
And then what?
Defeated
War
ISIS.
happened? What?
They ended the caliphate.
Damn,
And
dude.
The president on a whim, dealing with a man I know very well, the guy running Turkey, who's more of an autocrat now than a Democrat. And what happened? We pulled out, and you saw what happened. You saw the end of the effort to be able to continue.
Should have loved that place. You saw what happened, huh?
ISIS, number one. Number two, close your eyes, everybody. Remember what you saw on television. You saw a woman standing up there, holding up her baby. Kurds saying,
I have to look at that.
"Please don't
I'll
leave."
look for that
And our
screenshot, Kennedy.
military women and men standing, going out in their up-armor Humvees with their heads down, ashamed of what they did. It didn't take a lot of men or men and women to do what needed to be done. And with regard to Afghanistan, as now I can say it because it's made public, I was totally against the whole notion of no nation building in Afghanistan. The only thing we had was dealing with terrorism in that region.
Yeah, I just wanted to go in and overthrow the government, kill Osama bin Laden, and leave. That'd been awesome. That was fine. That would have been the reasonable thing to do.
On a vehicle. In every part of it, as Senator and Vice President. Here's what I saw. There's no possibility of uniting that country. No possibility at all making it a whole country. But it is possible.
Afghanistan's fucked, y'all. Afghanistan's fucked, y'all. Give up on Afghanistan. He's fucked.
Footprint that we needed. I argued for that in the beginning.
You mentioned Mayor Buttigieg, and I do want to take this to you next, Mayor. Given your finish in Iowa, you've come under increasing scrutiny, attacks from opponents on experience. We've heard that theme even right here tonight. You have said on the Iraq War, for example, I just don't believe there is any justification for that vote. You said it's the difference between tenure and judgment, that it's the judgment that matters, not the time in Washington. Vice President Biden, as you know, voted yes. As Commander-in-Chief, do you believe your judgment would be better than the Vice President's?
I believe that I have the judgment to help us get through
Duck.
these situations where obviously the vice president made the wrong.
They don't want to hit anyone but Bernie, do they?
In our foreign policy.
Nobody does.
Looking forward, we got to
And
recognize.
even when they go at Bernie, they got to be real. They got to be careful. They got to be careful.
In kind from what we have faced before.
Because he's a brick wall. You run right into a brick wall.
Dealing
You're
with the
done.
aftermath of the war in Iraq, it's about preventing a war with Iran. And not only do we have to undertake the military and counterterrorism activities that we've been doing throughout, the next president is going to have to restore the credibility of this country among our allies and among the international community. At a moment when we are facing fundamentally different challenges from asymmetric warfare to cybersecurity threats. President Trump's imagination of a national security strategy is a big wall and a moat full of alligators. It's a 17th century approach
Ha, ha,
to
ha.
keeping a place safe.
He said that shit 2016.
And that means insisting not only on shoring up our relationships, but defining a strategy to keep the American people safe.
He talks exactly like you'd imagine a McKinsey consultant talks.
I made a mistake. I said it 14 years ago. I trusted George Bush to keep his word. He said he was not going to go into Iraq. He said he was only using this to unite the United Nations.
Yeah.
Insist we get inspectors in to see what Saddam was doing. When we got elected,
You did make a mistake, didn't you? Oops.
I said, Joe, I want you to organize.
Sorry, hundreds of thousands of Iraqis. I didn't think he'd actually kill all of you.
I did that. The other thing I want to
I mean,
to is that
he said he was going to,
going to
right?
crumble if we don't beat Trump. NATO is in real
gave
trouble.
every
We
indication
need NATO for more
he was hiring
resources
people
to
down with
security.
that project.
We need NATO to make sure that we do not
Setting
allow
up for
Russia
that
to continue
project.
to have
I
its
didn't think he'd
influence
really do it,
in
though.
Eastern Europe in ways that it had before. It wasn't just to stop the Soviet Union from coming into Europe. It was to make sure that we did not have a kleptocracy taking over that part of the world. To unite Europe in our behalf.
Yeah.
I know how to deal with them. I know every one of them.
We wouldn't want a small group of extremely wealthy and powerful individuals to dominate our society. That would be terrible. Can't allow that.
The last 24 hours, you have an attack ad running here in New Hampshire with images of Mayor Buttigieg, and you say over those images an untested newcomer. But I wanted to ask you tonight on
Oh, is Tom Steyer going at
you share
Pete?
the stage with a veteran from Afghanistan,
What's good, Theo?
Vice President who was in the Situation Room. What makes you
We're
most
just
qualified of all
watching one guy stomp it and
Commander-in-Chief?
6
Let me
others
say this. I agree with
tread
Pete
water
Buttigieg
or
that it's about
drown.
judgment, not tenure. What we're hearing here is a very long dissertation about exactly how America should be the world's policeman. And what we've actually seen in the Middle East is that Barack Obama used diplomacy to get Iran to give up its nuclear ambitions.
Yeah,
in return for
that's
our
the one
economic
front.
Economic sanctions along with our partners.
Sure did take his
world.
time
So when we're talking about our role in the world,
on Iraq and Afghanistan, huh? Closing Guantanamo, that never happened. No, I know you need Congress's help for that,
a
but
strategy and we don't have allies. And
CIA ran black sites when Obama was president,
our
right?
response should be military.
We still shipping
is driven by our gigantic
shipping people off
military
third-party
complex
countries,
and
torture.
ignores the biggest problem that we face internationally in the world, which is climate change.
Yeah, let's go back and do what
Cannot
Obama
be
did.
solved with guns and tanks.
Yeah, go back.
and planes.
Tell us more about how you love Bernie,
Only
dude.
be solved
I like that stuff more.
allies.
Tom Steyer losing my vote, guys.
So in fact, what we are listening to right here is a discussion of 20 years of failed military action and how we should continue it and how we should continue spending $700 billion a year on defense.
I'm making fun of him, but honestly, this is probably Tom Steyer making the most sense about anything that's not I like Bernie and everyone appears better than Trump. It's because he's right. This is all bullshit. We do straight up need to just
putting that deal together with Iran.
stop.
I was there. I was involved in that.
I know there are going to
I
be
was also
important
part
power
of
vacuums when you withdraw military forces.
I brought in the Chinese.
Negotiated
I was part of that. I was part of every
thoughtfully,
major
but
initiative
like
we've
it
had
must
related
end. It cannot
to
continue.
diplomacy. I have not argued for the placement of major numbers of U.S. combat troops. I have said, along with the President of the United States, Barack Obama, as his partner, I have said we have to strengthen NATO to make it clear that we keep our commitments when we make them. Like we don't keep our commitments to the Kurds. We must keep our commitments when we make them. Otherwise, we have no power whatsoever. And it's not about making sure we're policemen of the world. The only way not to become the policemen of the world is to have allies who will join us in dealing with failed states and terrorism. And it has to be done.
Like Afghanistan, which will never be united. It will never be at peace. They are fucked over there. I've always said that.
Like Joe and others, I also heard the arguments in terms of the war in Iraq from Bush, from Cheney, from John Bolton, from the whole administration. I listened
Biden, when Biden yells, he yells about
I
nothing.
concluded that they were lying through their teeth.
It's just his way of like trying to focus. It's like if I sound angry and like point and get aggressive, then like I look strong and not so much like a doddering old fool.
My fears about all the destabilization that would take place by the U.S. invading Iraq. It's sad to me that is
We're
what
the
happened.
failed state.
But let
That's
me
right.
just pick up on a point that Tom made, which is absolutely right. Trump wants to build a wall around America. Problem is, if we are going to deal with issues like climate change, not only do we in America have to take on the greed of the fossil fuel industry, we have to lead the entire world. This is not an American issue. It's a global issue. We got to bring China and Russia and Brazil and Pakistan and India and every major
You want to talk
country
about
on earth into
foreign
the fight
relations?
against climate change. And here
Climate
is
change
my
is
dream. Maybe it's a radical dream.
even
Maybe
bigger
just
than the
maybe
military
given the crisis
stuff,
of climate change,
I think,
the
because
world can
it
understand
the military stuff isn't largely driven by
$1 trillion a year
climate
collectively
change
on weapons of destruction designed
and
to
people
kill each other. Maybe we
getting
pool
ready
our resources and fight our common enemy,
fortifying
which is climate change.
for sort of siege.
We have much more debate coming up, but we have got to take a break.
All right, we're taking a break now. Great, fantastic. We are taking a break. So that was the first hour of the Democratic debate. I think you guys about to kiss? It's weird. So I guess my takes so far. First of all, number one, ABC, like I said, in the tank. In the tank for Mayor Pete. Absolutely 100%. I'm going to put on some music, actually. If I can find some. Just give me 1 second here. Or maybe, yeah, sure, that'll work. Something. And something that probably won't get me dinged. What's up, bro? So anyway, like I was saying, mostly biggest takeaways, ABC in the tank for Pete. They're giving him a ton of time. They're lobbing softballs up at him. They have brought up his military service more than he has. Which is fucking amazing, because it's one of the few things on his resume that like actually might appeal to some voters. I always listen to everything Bernie has to say. So that's the first thing. He is not. He tried to land some blows on Bernie, but you know that consultant type speak that he has that works for him real good. I'm not sure that the average American, or even the non-average Americans hear that and they're particularly persuaded by it. That kind of language, you're surrounded by it constantly, and it just, the older you get, and I'm not too old, early 30s, it's already so shallow to me. Nope, are we coming back? I guess not. What's going on? Come on, man. Whatever, they're to talk. I don't give a shit about that. Bernie, the only one up there speaking to the material concerns of people in a direct way. Pete will often diagnose the problem, or attempt to diagnose the problem, but he does not have any kind of solutions, any kind of path forward. He don't know what to do. All he knows how to do is sound and look slick. And he does. He's looking real good in that suit up there. That's a nice, crisp suit. I'd say he looks presidential if he didn't look so boyish, honestly. It didn't sound like he was so full of shit. It's an Overclocked University remix. I'm sorry if you don't like it. They're just rerunning, by the way, I believe, from earlier, right?
Now, but the candidates on that stage
Don't give a shit. Warren not doing really any favors for herself, I'd say, tonight so far. It's really failed to have any breakout moments. Oh, okay, thanks. About the music, that is. I have to play something else in a second. Let's play it again. We're just killing time. Joe Biden could be doing worse. I don't think he's doing so great. They're not back yet. Stop showing me footage of the candidates. If they're not up there live. But I sincerely think that Bernie, more than any of them, is distinguishing himself Yeah. Yeah. Show us. Yeah. I saw Sanders up by like, maybe that's right. I don't know. Horse, they just NH Democratic horse race. This is the most basic looking graphic. I made that graphic in MS Paint. That's what happened. Bernie is surging. He did win Iowa. And honestly, the longer this race goes on, like Pete does not have the... He has zero appeal to anyone who's not white. And a Panera Bread Club card holder. And Nevada, which is a little less white than you might think. And South Carolina, which is obviously far less white than Iowa and New Hampshire. You know, as you get to more and more states that aren't so demographically homogenous in this way, I mean, I know it seems kind of weird to say it this way, but where does black support that's currently behind Biden, where does it go? Is it really going to go? It's not going to Amy. It's not going to Pete. Definitely not going to Pete. It's going to Warren? I don't think so. Tom Steyer? Yang? Or are they going to say, oh, my nephew, my kid, my hairdresser's brother, they all support Bernie? I don't know. Just, that's how I was thinking, you know.
Thank you, George. It's an honor to be
Anyway.
here in our community. We know Granite Staters are engaged, and we know there are issues.
We got Panera
that
Breads
strike
here.
especially
I'm not
close to
in
home
Alabama.
here. New Hampshire has one of the highest rates of deadly overdoses in the country. In some cases, police and paramedics tell us that they are saving the same lives again and again, sometimes more than once in a single day.
Come on.
It's a healthcare issue, but it's also so much more. Mayor Buttigieg, you have described yourself as a moderate, but one of your policies at least goes further than some on the stage with you are willing to go. You have called for the decriminalization of all drugs. Does that include heroin? Some of the drugs that have contributed to this crisis?
What the fuck?
You know, what I've called for is that incarceration should no longer be the response to drug possession.
With all due respect, Mayor Buttigieg, on your website it says that you called for decriminalization.
Are they really about to going hard at Bernie about, or Pete about this? Wow.
Incarceration as a response. This does not mean that it will be lawful
Pete's too radical, y'all.
produce or distribute those
Too
kinds
radical.
of harmful drugs. But also, as we know from the opioid crisis, some
Are
of
you
this
too?
has
Are
been
you
driven
too
by
progressive?
companies
You
that are
rat-faced
acting
fuck.
irresponsibly with substances that were lawful. It's why
This is a reverse,
those companies to hold
I
them
think.
accountable. We've got to make sure that there is
He's like, oh, this is a chance for him to say, oh, you know, you think that I'm a corporate rat-faced puppet. How about this? Look at him. He's coming after me about the drug thing, huh?
medical issue, not a moral failure.
Yeah, exactly. It's a health issue. It's not a criminal justice one. I'm not a super conservative guy. No, please.
EMTs in my city have been so frustrated by the experience of reviving somebody, but then they have nowhere to go. Sometimes you get brought back with a dose of Narcan, but then your life depends on whether in the days that follow you make it until somebody can actually see you, because we have such a shortage of mental health and addiction providers in
Also,
this country. We must
medical care is expensive, and we don't have universal health care in this country, which I will also not do anything about.
This question now to Mr. Yang.
Fuck you,
You've
man.
said you would decriminalize opioids, but you've also said that you would require all overdose patients to go to mandatory treatment centers for 3 days. Well, right now in New Hampshire, there aren't enough beds in treatment centers and across the country. How would
And we
you
don't know where to
make
get more.
beds available for all overdose patients?
Let me ask you a
And
question,
what would you do to fill
chat.
the gap in the meantime?
That's what we have to change, Monica.
Let's say you needed a bed.
Families here in New Hampshire that have been destroyed.
Would you know how to get one?
By the opiate epidemic, and you have to look at the.
Where are the
companies that
beds?
profited to the tune of tens of billions of dollars in profit.
Who makes them?
essentially blood money.
Nobody makes
As
beds.
president, we will take back those profits.
Again, it's not like we just buy some
right here in
beds.
New Hampshire, so that if you
Perhaps through a government
are seeking
grant.
treatment, you have resources to be able to
We
pursue.
don't have enough
This is
beds.
not a money problem,
Buy some
fundamentally
fucking
it's a human
beds.
problem, but money cannot be the obstacle.
You're fucking kidding? How old is the technology that is the bed? About as old as technology that is the house? How long have we had those? Shelter?
Make sure that if you are seeking treatment, you know you're not going to be sent to jail. We have safe injection and safe consumption sites for you. If you have a family member who's struggling, you can refer them and know that they're not going to have criminal penalties as a result.
Yeah, you can still greatly inconvenience them and perhaps cause them to face social retaliation. But
in terms
I don't know.
of companies running amok, this hyper corporate capitalism where if money's on one side in this country and people are on the other side, the money is winning. You can see it with the opiate epidemic. You can see it with the military.
You never hear the military. That's right. You never hear the military say, "We don't have enough bullets for this war."
And that's where I'll lead as president.
We don't have enough bullets for this war. Right now we don't have enough bullets. We don't have enough guns. We don't have enough missiles. Alright, just they go buy more bullets and guns and missiles. Bad though. Whoa, hey, hold up.
Is a disease. Should
Spend money on that.
arrested for it? And as a prosecutor, do you regret sending people with substance abuse issues to jail?
I led one of the most successful drug.
Yeah, hey, what about innocent people to jail?
County, and I always would say and believe.
There's stories on that. Look that up.
This, that we weren't a business. We didn't want to see repeat customers, and if you don't want to see repeat customers, the only answer is treatment. And maybe you're.
I'm sorry, even jokingly referring to these
time in drugs. Yes, I felt that we
people with charges as customers, as a prosecutor.
Mr. Yang, a question
that is fucking weird. Creepy to me.
Addiction rates in the country,
they're not customers. Not everything's analogous to a business transaction. They aren't there to receive a service from you. They're there because they have to be, or else they're in big trouble.
Against all these opioid manufacturers, the evidence is overwhelming, including an email where one guy, a business guy, says to the other, they're eating them like Doritos. Just keep pumping them out. We will get a conservative estimate, $40 billion in from that settlement. We can put a 2 cents per milligram tax on opioids that brings in another $40 billion. Then you can close the hedge fund loophole that brings in $18 billion. And just like every other policy I've proposed,
so we have $100 billion for
care about this. I have showed how I'm
opioids?
Because I think we have someone in the White House that has told over 15,000 lies. He makes all kinds of promises. The people of New Hampshire.
I hate it. Repeat customers? I mean, I know she don't really think they're customers. That's not really what she's saying, but fucking creepy ass phrase.
For presidential contenders, but also for top issues, and that includes.
We're going to talk about voters, not customers of any kind, or consumers. Sick of that too.
About consistency. When it comes to progressive
Get him, Bernie.
issues, you've been on the right side of them for a long time. One exception is gun rights. In the 90s, when you were in Congress,
Bernie, don't you suck ass on guns.
background checks,
Don't
you
you
also
want
voted
children
against
to
a
die
waiting period
from
for purchase of a firearm. Can you
being
explain
blown apart?
why you oppose these things?
Why do you oppose children
I can, Adam, and let me
being
also say that in
exploded?
1988, I probably lost a race for Congress, and we only have one congressperson in the whole state. Because in 1988, I said that we should ban the sale and distribution of assault.
If you're looking for gun reform, Bernie is also still your guy.
Furthermore,
Because in the first place, he's the only one who might bring a congressional majority with him in order to pass the legislation necessary.
record from the NRA. And under my administration, it will be the American people doing gun policy, not dictated by the NRA. But to answer your question,
Honestly, the NRA is probably a criminal organization. Just be fucking
in Vermont,
take it apart. I think there's probably legal.
virtually no gun control legislation.
You could probably make a pretty good legal case.
The world has changed. In Vermont and in New Hampshire and all over this country, people are sickened by the mass
The world has
shootings
changed.
that we've seen
The weapons used have changed.
The world has changed and my views have
And
changed. And my view is right
he's changed. Oh my God!
background checks, we end the gun
Wow.
loophole.
Bernie grew.
The so-called straw man
Amazing.
provision. We make certain
He's the guy.
the sale and distribution
Cliff Schechter, are you listening? I know guns are a big thing for you, and they're the reason that you don't want to support Bernie. That and his followers are too mean. And Cliff Schechter, if you're listening, sounds pretty fucking good to me.
President Biden, you've taken a lot of heat in this primary.
I guess you got some crow to eat, don't you, Cliff?
Voters here in New Hampshire for
I guess you're gonna start posting about how awesome Bernie is now and how he's got your vote.
And give you the benefit of the doubt.
Unless you're a lying piece of shit scumbag who's just in it for the money.
Here's the deal. The biggest mistake that Bernie made, that Senator Sanders made, he voted to give the gun manufacturers, the only major industry in America, a loophole that does not allow them to be sued for the carnage they are creating.
Almost.
First thing I'll do as president is work to get rid of that. It's going to be hard. Think of all the thousands and
Of course he
thousands
will,
of people who
Kennedy.
died. And I might add, Bernie, while you were representing your constituency, an awful lot of people, they're a gun state, and they've come around. In fact, all those folks in California, New York, Pennsylvania, they were getting killed by the thousands during this same period. I come from a state that's a major gun-owning state. I introduced the first assault weapons ban. I, in fact, got it passed. I'm the only guy that beat the NRA twice.
How effective has that assault weapons ban been?
Background checks. Bernie voted.
Weren't hundreds of people mowed down by automatic fire in Las Vegas, and we have no idea why the guy even did it, and we still don't.
I set them up. I wrote it into law, and it never got funded. And also on opioids, I'm the guy who's already.
I'm the guy. Yeah, here we go. That's the guy.
To fight opioid addiction. And lastly, my time is going to be up shortly. Here's the deal. Those chief executive officers of drug companies, they should not only be fined, they should go to jail.
Senator Warren,
Lock them up. Lock them up. I can get behind that.
laws can do so much. If you could change one thing about America's gun culture, what would it be?
Look,
who gives a shit?
Problem in America. It is about the mass shootings that we hear about in our
What?
schools and that frighten
What's the president gonna do about gun culture?
Also, though, about shootings
Can the president invade people's minds? Make them think thoughts? Change what motivates them? That's so fucking stupid. What would you like to see about gun culture change? I guess there'd be less of it.
of domestic violence if she is
Begging your pardon. What a dumbass fucking question. She's not even, she's ignoring it. And that's good.
Three things and done. We need to think of it just
Who
like
gives
we
a shit
did
about
on auto
what's the president of, you want to be the president of American culture? You want to be the president of the goddamn United States government?
We should be asking ourselves is when America across this country, including gun owners, agree in certain basic things, universal background checks, get assault weapons off the streets. Why can we not even get a vote in the United States?
They say off the streets, but really what they mean is out of people's homes. Because there are not assault weapons laying around the streets. And it's going to involve sending uniformed men and women of the government to people's doors to confiscate the weapons. That is what that looks like.
We're not going to be able to meet our promises, and
That makes me a little nervous.
until we agree that we are willing to roll back the filibuster, the gun industry
Because when the cops start going door to door looking for stuff that's illegal, we all know the kinds of people they tend to focus on. They tend to be non-white, young, poor.
Thank you, and thanks to WMUR tonight. I want to turn to the Supreme Court, the balance on the court, and the issues before the court right now.
How many moderators do you guys need?
24 hours saying we've appointed 191
It's like as many moderators as there are candidates. It's just peanuts.
Keeping his campaign promise
Eating
to
peanuts.
shift the court to the right with Neil Gorsuch and Brett Kavanaugh. The Affordable Care Act is at the court, climate change is working its way to the court, and a major abortion...
Climate change, we're in the court. Court's going to declare climate change is unconstitutional. No more climate change, illegal.
Two Supreme Court picks of them.
That's how we're going to lick
There's no litmus test. We picked people who had an open mind, did not come with an agenda. And you've said before, we both believe that we should not apply narrow litmus tests to appointees to the Supreme Court.
But I also
let me just ask: would you do it differently as president, Mr. Vice President? Would there be a litmus test on
if you
abortion?
say the rest of what I said.
Right on.
I said that we're going
I'm down in Warner
to
Robins.
anyone who did not have a view that
Most people know what it
unenumerated
is.
rights
It's
existed in the
half hour south of
Constitution.
Macon.
That's not a specific
About
test.
90 minutes south
It's
of
a
Atlanta
generic
by the
test.
interstate.
And the only reason women have the right to choose is because it's determined that there's unenumerated rights coming from the 9th Amendment in the Constitution. That's what I said. And I was part of the reason why Elena Kagan, who worked for me, got on the Supreme Court. I was part of the reason why Ruth Bader Ginsburg is on the court. I was part of the reason why Sotomayor is on the court, and she swore me in. I presided, and I'm the reason why this right wasn't taken away a long time ago, because I almost single-handedly made sure that Robert Bork did not get on the court.
Oh no, Joe! No! Ooh, I don't think that's gonna go well for him. I don't think that's exactly how it happened.
Test on abortion.
Yes, look, here's the deal.
Pretty sure it isn't.
Test on abortion relates to a fundamental value in the Constitution. A woman does have a right to choose. I would, in fact, if they rule it to be unconstitutional, I will send to the United States Congress, and it will pass, I believe, a bill that legislates Roe v. Wade adjusted by cases. It's a woman's right to do that. Period. And if you
We'll lose the courts, then we'll just pass the law, and those courts won't be a problem anymore. Because
you read the Constitution very, very now.
it's not like judicial review will still exist.
It doesn't say it in the Constitution. It doesn't exist.
Wait, what?
You cannot have
It will.
any of the things I care about. Any of the things I care about as a progressive member of the United States Congress. At the
I bet we add 6 seats to the court. That's 9 seats. Shit. I don't give a shit, man. We need to pack the thing, though. We're gonna have to.
Abortion was illegal, and rich women still got abortions. And that's what we have to remember about this. States are heading toward trying
Props to
ban
Snake.
abortion outright, and the Supreme Court seems headed in exactly
Props to the Snake. She right about that. That's a good ass point.
If we are going to
That's one I always try to make for people.
the United States of America, and we are going to protect our rights to have dominion over our own
If
bodies.
you outlaw abortion,
It's going to mean we can't
women with
simply
enough
rely
money
on the
to
courts.
travel will get
3
abortions.
out of every 4 people in
Or
America
women with enough money to
believe right
fund an illegal
now that the rule of Roe
operation with
versus Wade
cash
should
will
be
get
the
abortions.
law. That means we
Poor
should be
women, middle-class
pushing for
women
a
will not
congressional
get
solution
abortions.
as well. It is time to have a
By
national
outlawing
law
them,
to
you really
protect
just
the
outlaw
right
them
of a
for
woman's choice.
Senator Warren, thank you.
disadvantaged populations.
Senator Klobuchar, I do want to come to you. Should there be a litmus test? It's an active
I like Biden 2020. Why don't the kids call anymore?
Thank you. Should there be a litmus test on abortion?
On Biden 2020, I hope it's mashed potatoes night is my favorite.
Precedent, and one of those key precedents is Roe v. Wade. In addition, you have got to put it into law. Donald Trump, and I think it's
Are
really
they
important
setting up
him
to try to convince me that Bernie's squishy on abortion
I will
or
make on the
something?
debate stage against
'Cause he's
him.
not.
He actually said that he wanted to put
He's
women
not.
in jail. He then dialed it back and said, no, I want to put doctors in jail. Is it a big surprise then we're seeing states like Alabama start enacting laws that would criminalize
Claiming he single-handedly stopped Robert Bork from being appointed to the court.
be really important when you look at the overwhelming
I think
public support
people are gonna.
funding Planned
You're gonna
Parenthood
see
for
some
making
articles
sure
about.
women
Well, here's what really happened. I'd have to go back and look. It's been a long time, but that is not how I remember it.
Mayor Buttigieg, you have signaled that you'd be open to the idea of expanding.
He was there.
Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg
He was
suggested
involved,
leaving
but
the court as it is, saying, "quote 9 seems to be a good number." And in fact, she said if the number of justices
9
is
sucks.
increased, quote, it would make the court
About 19.
It would be one side saying, when we're in power, we're going to enlarge the number of judges to have more people who will vote the way we want them to.
Yes.
Is Justice
Okay.
Ginsburg wrong?
Well, if all we did was change the number of justices, then I agree with her that that could be the consequence. What I've called for is not only reforming the number of justices on the bench.
Oh, but how we choose the. He's gonna tell me about his convoluted scheme.
Appointed through a partisan process. We cannot allow the Supreme Court.
Dog shit. It's a dog shit plan. I've read it. It's dog shit. It's dog shit. The plan's dog shit,
Time
Pete.
has come for us to think bigger, not just reforming the makeup of the court, as America,
Your plan, no, your plan is not dog shit. Dog shit you can use as a fertilizer. You can grow things in dog shit. It's got nutrients in it, valuable nutrients for certain living creatures. Your plan is low, like not as good as dog shit.
But when it comes to something like Citizens United, which
It involves
corporations have the same political soul as
like
people,
5 justices all unanimously choosing.
is the same thing as writing an op-ed to your local paper. We need a constitutional amendment to clear that up and protect our democracy.
Mayor Buttigieg, thank you. Vice President Biden, I do want to come to you on this.
I just keep raising their hands,
The only reason
desperate for
Democrats
time.
want to expand the court is they want to try and catch up. You have called any expansion of the court a bad idea, adding, "We will live to rue that day."
Biden, you okay? Is he all
I
right?
agree with Ruth Bader Ginsburg. That's who I agree with. And I agree the way to deal with Citizens United is pass a
Is he all
constitutional
right?
amendment I introduced 25 years ago saying that only public money can be spent in elections, period. Not private money, not billionaires, not money.
It looked a little, his face looked a little vacant there for a second. It didn't look like he understood maybe where
In addition to
what he
that,
was
if in fact
hearing.
look, the Democrats stood up against a man I revere, Franklin Delano Roosevelt. He wanted to expand the court, but they were wise enough to understand.
Oh my goddamn, dude. Really?
Abuse it, and it will lose its legitimacy. And there are 3 equal branches of government.
That ain't what
And
happened.
It says the president shall nominate, the Senate shall dispose. The Senate shall make that decision.
I might have to do an
You can
episode on that.
nominate. That's why it's so important. We must win back the United States Senate this time out.
The common perception that Roosevelt overreached and made a mistake
As you all look at it up here in New
packing the
Hampshire,
court,
around
I just do not agree with. But almost everyone I've ever read does.
get a senator elected in North Carolina.
I think I probably need to
Who can
take
win
time to write a
Florida,
script about why I think
Pennsylvania,
differently.
Minnesota. Who can do that? Because you got to be able to win those.
Ain't nobody give a shit about that shit right now.
I agree.
History podcast? Nonsense.
You've got to be able to. You've got to be able to not just win, you've got to bring along a United States Senate or this becomes...
Yeah, you said that already.
Thank you. Look, you asked a simple question. Is there a litmus test for those of us up here? For me, there is. I will never nominate...
See, the only one who ever answers the goddamn question.
Court or the federal courts in general, who is not 100% pro Roe v. Wade. Number 2, we have got to codify Roe v. Wade into
Hey, we're at Michael's
3, we have to
show right now. Hope you're having fun.
expand funding for Planned Parenthood.
I'm sorry, I'm doing this instead.
I
But
want to bring you in on this because you have claimed that when it comes to the Supreme Court...
oh, the Bill House is fun. I've been to the Bill House. Got drunk at the Bill House.
Look, what we saw Mitch McConnell
Took
do,
photos
not
in the
just
Bill
in
House.
the Supreme Court with Merrick Garland, but across the board with
Good
federal
times.
judges, was refuse to allow President Obama's picks to be considered.
Nobody gives a
That's
shit.
why
Tom, come
Mr.
on.
Trump has appointed so many federal judges, because in fact, the Republicans refuse to allow President Obama to and honestly,
Wrong.
we're sitting here talking about do
Wrong.
we have a litmus test. We all
They didn't have names, Tom.
Everybody on this row
Obama didn't give him any
feels exactly the
names.
same way
I'm sure the Republicans weren't
Everybody on
cooperative,
this
but
row feels exactly the same way on gun
why,
control.
why weren't there any names given?
There's something
Why did they just stop giving names to the Senate for confirmation? Because that's what happened. Hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of judgeships just left vacant with no attempt to fill them at all. None. Not even a perfunctory.
Actually, Joe Biden's right.
We'll send a name, please hold a hearing.
Victory this year.
Didn't even get to that.
And so the question is going to be, look at
Republicans' obstruction is sure. This is fucking.
Democratic Party. And let me
You
say
guys
this,
keep
we have
letting
not said
Obama
one
off the
word
hook,
today about
though.
race. Not one word.
I guess that's to be expected in a Democratic debate,
Diverse
but
party. We have a very diverse country. We have a very diverse party. The heart and soul of this
I don't know
party
what
is
to do about the
diversity,
court
black
exactly.
people,
I think
Latinos,
probably if I had a magic
LGBTI
wand, I'd just say
Native
we're done
Americans,
with the
and
court.
white people. But for
We're
goodness
not doing
sakes,
this anymore. We might have a Supreme Court, but they won't have judicial
we're
review
talking
power.
about something different. The question
Could
we
have
is
a
how are we
few
getting
original
that diverse group of
jurisdictions,
people to the polls?
stuff like that.
What are
Maybe
we
some
saying?
appellate stuff. But
Everybody on this stage feels the same way about a woman's
I
right
don't
to
know
choose
for sure,
and
but I do.
economic justice. The question is, how do we beat Trump? How do we take down these Republicans? And the answer is, we've got to show we can take them down on growth, job creation, the
God
economy.
damn it.
We send them packing.
Shut the fuck up! Why is this dude taking up time?
with you. The night is still young. Many questions to come, and Lindsay Davis is next.
I want to turn now to criminal justice. Mayor Buttigieg, under your leadership as mayor, a black resident.
I do think lifetime appointments are a problem on the court. Yes, I think that's a pretty easy sell for. I think
Disparity is higher than the rest of the
20 years, a generation basically. You get 20 years and then
increased in South
you're done.
Bend.
No reappointments. No
When
reappointments.
talking about the problem on national terms, you've called it, quote, evidence of systemic racism.
But again, I'm
You were
not.
mayor for 8 years, so weren't you?
I can't. I don't have the answer
a
for
fan of the
everything.
system? And how do you explain that increase in black arrests under your leadership?
I do think the Supreme Court has too much power.
On
though.
my watch, drug arrests in South Bend were lower than the national average.
Lie.
Specifically to marijuana, lower than in Indiana.
Lie.
There is no question that systemic racism has penetrated to every level of our system, and my city was not immune. I took a lot of heat for discussing systemic racism with my own police department, but we've got to confront the
Wow, how did that go, Pete? Did you clean house over there? Ooh, oh, nope.
And thankfully, America.
God damn the balls on this guy. Jesus.
Opioid addiction is best understood as a medical problem.
Release the fucking DR tapes.
Including a lot of African American activists in my community who have made the very good point. It's great that everybody's so enlightened about drug policy now when it comes to
kidding me
opioids.
right
But
now?
where were you when it came to marijuana?
Uh
Where were you when
huh.
it
How does activists feel about your candidacy for president, Pete? Are they supportive?
for us as a country to take up those reforms that end incarceration?
I wish I had one right now.
And
Because I have a feeling I know about what they would say about you.
do it retroactively with expungement.
That you being on their side and agreeing with you about police and drug policy. Yeah. Okay.
Where the incarceration did
Brass balls, motherfucker. Jesus.
In South Bend under your leadership for marijuana possession.
He is really good at lying.
The overall rate was lower.
No, there was an increase the year before you were in
He is
office.
really good at lying.
Once you became in office in 2012, that number went up. In 2018,
Even the moderator.
the last year that we have a record for, that number was still up.
Yep. And one of the strategies that our
Yeah,
community
okay.
adopted was to
okay, I was
target
wrong.
when there were cases where there was gun violence and gang violence, which was slaughtering so many in our community, burying teenagers.
The fact that this guy has gotten this fucking far on this kind of pablum
would be targeted in
is
cases there was a
infuriating to me.
connection to the most
He
vulnerable
is so full of shit.
connected to a murder. These things are all connected, but that's
He's just not
all of the
answering.
things that need to change.
I talk over him because it doesn't matter what he said. He's not answering the question.
And remove the effects of systemic racism, not just
She called you out. She corrected you. And
from our economy, from health, from housing, and from our democracy itself.
Senator Warren, is that a substantial answer from Mayor Buttigieg?
Like and subscribe. I would like to grow my channel.
To the facts. And it's important to own up to the facts about how race has totally permeated our criminal justice system. You know, for the exact same crimes,
Looking
study
at
after
her.
study now shows
Kinda weird, Pete.
that African Americans
He's
are
staring
more
at her,
likely
buddy.
than whites to be detained, to be arrested, to be taken to trials.
He
for
trying to
wrongfully convicted,
what is he
and to
receive
doing?
doing?
Harsher sentences. We
Just
need
say,
to rework
right.
our criminal justice
Okay,
system
right there,
from
yeah.
the very front end all the way through the system, and how we help people come back into the community. But we cannot just say that criminal justice is the only time we want to talk about race specifically. We need to start having race-conscious laws. Housing, for example. I have a great housing plan to build more housing
Do
in
you?
America, but understand, it was the policy of the United States
Great
of America
housing
to
plans.
discriminate
I feel like there's one candidate who came out with national rent control, but
people of color for buying homes.
there's only
until
one. Who was?
1965.
Is it
You
Warren,
can't
right?
just repeal that
No!
and say, now everything is even.
Bernie.
It's not. We need race conscious.
Anyone who can hear the sound of my voice right now, who is a supporter of Elizabeth Warren, I want you to know that you are not my enemy.
For everyone, no matter the color.
But I am begging you and pleading you to recognize she ain't gonna be president.
racism.
She gonna top out at senator.
Laws that are race specific. What we have
And
to
so if
do
you really
is
are a progressive, I hate that fucking
King's
label.
birthday we just celebrated. He said that capitalism
You got
forgets
one
that
choice.
life is social, and what he was championing was a guaranteed minimum income for all Americans.
Oh, I just know we haven't talked about
or more.
$1,000 a month yet.
Reshaping our economy in communities of
I'll be right
color.
back.
Make it so that black net worth is not 10% of white net worth in this country, which is the most important number of them all. We can't regulate that away through any other means except by putting money directly into the hands of African Americans and Latinos and people of color to allow businesses to actually flourish and grow in those communities. The only way that will happen is if Black and Latino consumers have buying power, and that is where we have to move as a country.
Senator Sanders, then Mr. Steyer.
Andrew, no, let me say this. I disagree with you, Andrew. I am the person on this stage who will say openly, I'm for reparations. Something wrong happened. I am for reparations to African Americans in this country, and anyone who thinks that racism is a thing of the past and not an ongoing problem is not dealing with reality. In fact, 3 days ago, one of the leaders of Joe Biden's South Carolina campaign made racist remarks about someone associated with our campaign. And the Legislative Black Caucus went out en masse to stand up for that man and for our campaign. Joe, I'm asking you to come with me and the Legislative Black Caucus and disavow Dick Harpootlian and what he had to say. It was wrong. And I'm asking you to join us, be on the right side.
I'm asking you to join me and join in the support I have from the overwhelming number of the members of that Black Caucus. I have more support in South Carolina in the Black Caucus and the Black community than anybody else. Double what you have than anybody else.
Wait a second. It's quite Bernie.
Well, that is quite right.
Let's not argue about polls. This isn't about Bernie. This isn't about polls.
No, let's argue.
This is not about polls.
Kill each other. Go.
9 members of the Black Caucus in South Carolina supporting us. But more importantly, much of what Elizabeth said is absolutely correct.
I heard Pete's got a lot of black support too.
Society from top to bottom.
He sent out a mass email to every African American in the country, and if you didn't opt out within 48 hours, put your name on the list as a supporter of his candidacy. So.
But in terms of criminal justice, what we have got to do is understand the system is broken, is racist. We invest in our young people in jobs and education, not more jails.
Pete writing
and
furiously.
incarceration. We end the war on drugs, which has disproportionately impacted African Americans, Latinos, and Native Americans.
My man.
We end
My man.
prisons and detention centers.
My man. My man. Only one who's talked about for-profit prisons, which should not exist.
Tonight in America, 200,000 people are in jail without having been convicted of anything. That's right.
He's so fucking old and he is so fucking sharp. Yeah, I'm genuinely impressed.
Bail, they need to get out of jail. That is outrageous.
Sharper than Warren. Sharp, way sharper than Biden. He's sharper than Pete. You know, Pete's a polished ass rat.
I've worked to end private prisons in California, and they're gone. I'm somebody who's, our family, my wife and I started a bank specifically to support businesses owned by women.
Oh, you.
They couldn't get financing.
Well, God bless you, Tom.
I want to answer. Really, I think
He started a bank, y'all. A bank. How many of y'all started a bank to help the left?
that we're wrong and the legislative
Bet not many.
is against. I
Gotcha.
ask you to join us and do the right thing.
I've already spoken to
We started a bank.
Is I believe sorry for what he said. But here's the deal, folks. Look, we got to stop taking the black community for granted. That's the starting place. Every one of the things we talked about here, for example, in South Carolina, Jim Clyburn, he has a program.
Yeah, speaking of taking the black community for granted, just check your poll numbers, Bo.
Help for a long time and give most of that help to those communities. Make it a priority. We should make sure that we have no one going to jail for a drug offense. They go directly mandatory prison. Mandatory treatment, not prison, and we fund it. And we fund it. 3 days doesn't get it. It takes
if they make you go to treatment, or they make you go to prison, is there really that much difference? Because and I'm thinking like they're gonna make you go for treatment for marijuana. You're addicted to marijuana, so you're going to treatment. It's mandatory. I mean, I don't sound good to me. I mean, I recognize people need medicine, need medical care in a lot of these cases, but honestly, probably just prison by another name. Mandatory treatment center that you have to go to and can't leave. It sounds like a jail.
We have to do much, much more. That's what got me involved in politics in the first place. Redlining to stop it. I got
close. I've looked into that actually. The thing is like he did get in and was pretty liberal on school desegregation. But then like immediately, once people started getting mad at him about it, he folded like a cheap chair.
And so on. There's a lot we can do. I've laid it all out as how to do it. Go to joebiden.com. You'll see the whole deal.
Do not do that. Do not go to that website.
Vice President, as you mentioned, South Carolina, 3 weeks from tomorrow, they'll go to the polls to vote. Black voters make.
If you haven't hit the like button, hit the like button, please.
Senator Sanders,
I appreciate
weeks ago, Nina Turner, one of your
unless you don't like this. And if you don't like this, then
said Vice President Biden has, quote,
I'm sorry.
betrayed black
I made it for
voters to
you.
side with Republican lawmakers and undermine our progress. Senator Sanders, do you agree with her? One of your most visible surrogates that Vice President Biden has repeatedly betrayed black voters?
Well, I think what Senator Turner was talking about are some of the early actions of Vice President.
Senator Sanders, will you throw Nina Turner under the bus in front of everyone, please?
Of mine,
nope.
And I'm not here to attack him. But what I would say is that what we need in terms of the African American community is to understand that we have got to start investing big time in education, in healthcare. There is no excuse why white families in America have 10 times more.
I appreciate
black families.
the way he describes these problems with an urgency,
are in jail compared
with a sense of emergency.
for black women dying in childbirth 3 times.
That in the richest country in the world, we have all of these material deficiencies among huge swaths of our population.
You had raised your hand
Yes,
before.
I did, because I think in addition to the economic argument we're making here with the sad stories of a woman walking into a maternity room in New
She sounds like she's about to cry constantly tonight.
and walking out without
Not always, just tonight.
and
She's really leaning on this.
African American kids being living in poverty.
So moved
we
by
know
everything.
that there are economic solutions here to invest in those communities, housing, childcare, but there's something else insidious going on that we haven't addressed.
I'm not calling you,
Is
Warren.
the
Put your hand
systematic
down.
racism when it comes to voting.
I don't care what
is
you say.
moves across the country to limit
Thank you.
people's right to vote. And
Hoping
that
to
is
grow
why
it,
I
improve
have
it,
been leading on these bills
etc.
to automatically register every kid to vote in this country when they turn 18. There is no reason that we can't do that across this country.
There is no reason you should have done that 10 years ago, or 8 years ago, whatever. Unified Democratic controlled government.
What is going on right now, in the words of one North Carolina court,
It would be
is
both
that
smart
they are
and,
discriminating with
you know,
surgical
an
precision
act of civic
against
good.
African American voters, and we are not going to be able to get any of these things done.
They ain't gonna
if we
vote
give
for you.
people the right to vote.
Vice President Biden and then Senator Warren.
You made your career on locking those people up,
Give
Amy.
you a chance to respond.
There should be registration, automatic registration. Turning 18, you get a driver's license. Whatever you do, you automatically register. Number one.
Automatic driver's licenses for 18. Yeah. I love that. Hell yeah.
The response to the letter that
We don't driving test, bitch.
Bernie wrote the letter, but the senator wrote the letter.
He trying to go at him.
And significant.
Oh, excuse me.
Other African
He trying to go at
South
Bernie.
Carolina taking issue with her. But look, Amy is right.
Amy Klobuchar is a cop.
That is that
I'm not
in fact,
fucking with
there
you.
is systematic racism. And that's why our Justice Department works so hard to go after those. You know, realize there are 35 states in the United States of America that have come up with a total of 78 laws to restrict voting just in the last 5 years to try to keep African Americans
You remembered.
from voting. and brown as well. Black and brown people from voting. And that
Not just the black people, but the brown people too.
Administration as it was in ours. It just
And the yellow people and the...
Senator Warren.
Come on, man.
You know, I'm glad to stand on this
I'm the
stage
guy.
with my fellow
I'm the guy.
Democrats who talk about how important the black community is, at least at election time. Year after year after year,
Ladies and gentlemen,
election after election, Democrats
Harvard Law School's first female woman of color law professor, Elizabeth Warren.
The problem just seems to keep getting...
That's what they wrote.
Well, I think it's time we have real concrete plans that are going to make...
Stood that way for years.
I proposed a
Wasn't a mistake.
And let me tell you just one of the things we can do.
She has not owned it. Honestly, it ain't. I don't think it's that big a deal. But it was a thing that she did, and she has not admitted it. She let Harvard claim her as a non-white law professor for years. Are you kidding? No.
It's going to help close the black-white wealth gap for people with student loans by about 20 points. We aren't making
Talking about
a
that student loan
difference
forgiveness.
in America. We're saying to the rich folks, you keep
Smart,
your
probably.
money, and the rest of us will talk about racism, but not really do anything. I think the time for that is over. I'm ready to get in this fight and really make a change.
That was alright answer, I guess.
Actually, let's keep this debate going. Go ahead, Mr. Steyer.
Look, out of narrative comes policy. A lot of policies
Waste of time.
broadly and disproportionately affect black Americans or brown Americans. But what I believe is...
When's the last time you think Tom Steyer interacted with a black person that he did not feel he needed to tip?
For different people, but in fact we're here.
What do you think that was?
Because we had rules
How long has
that
it
are
been?
different for different people. I would set up a formal commission on race on day one.
Oh boy, a commission on a race.
America of systematic racism against African.
We ain't never done one of them before. Shit. All this time we ain't fucking. Nobody put together a commission on this shit. Damn.
The contribution that the African American community has
Fuck.
made to America in building it and in leading the entire country from a moral standpoint for generations and centuries. Because I believe out of narrative comes policy. We need to repair damage that's been done officially, and pretending we're all the same.
I swear, nobody on this stage has any idea where power actually comes from. It seems sometimes.
Martin Luther King.
Except for
Let's
Bernie.
talk about Barbara Lee, the congresswoman from Oakland, who's one of our great leaders, and then let's figure out how to
What do you mean
repair
are?
the damage.
Are you
so
in
we can
Congress?
Move forward together.
Mr. Yang, take on that argument and also what he said about reparations.
What you run a bank? Ooh.
The median African-American household net worth is projected to be 0 by 2053. Things are not getting better for people of color. If anything, they're getting worse because we're in the process of eliminating the most common jobs in our economy. It's something of an economic unnatural disaster. And who suffers most in a natural disaster? People of color, people with lower levels of capital and access to opportunity and education. And while
You just say poor people.
we love to champion education,
Disadvantaged
here,
populations.
as Democrats, only 33% of Americans are going to attend college. Lower percentage of African Americans. There is no way we can prevent.
Yeah, is that what's about to happen? Tell me about $1,000 a month.
Put straight cash into their hands.
There we go. Okay. There we go. There it is. All right. All right. All
Retail
right.
clerks. It is call center
Yeah.
workers. It is accountants.
They're all gonna get $1,000. Okay.
We are in the midst of the greatest economic transformation in the history of our country, and it's going to hit black people the hardest. We have to stop nibbling at the edges and actually start solving the real problem.
We've been getting a lot of questions. We've been getting a lot of questions from Apple News and tonight, including many about a candidate who's not on the stage tonight, but it is in this race, and that is former Mayor Michael Bloomberg. This question came in from Nashville, Tennessee. It says, billionaire Michael Bloomberg has entered the race and just got the endorsement of a former Trump Navy secretary. Why do you think you are better positioned than Bloomberg to beat Trump, Senator Warren?
Look, I don't think anyone ought to be able to buy their way.
They should just all keep repeating that. Good answer. Shouldn't be able to buy your way onto the debate stage or buy your way onto the ballot.
I don't think people who suck up to billionaires in order to fund their campaigns ought to do it. I heard everyone here talking about, as Democrats, we all want to overturn Citizens United because we want to end this unlimited spending. Yeah, except everyone on this stage, except Amy and me, is either a billionaire or is receiving help from PACs that can... You really want
Whoa!
to live where you say,
Whopper!
put your money where your mouth is, and say no.
That's a lie.
Look,
I mean, there may be some PACs out there who support Bernie, but he don't control them. He don't fundraise for them, and they don't take billionaire money.
We have a grassroots movement.
Me and Amy are the only grassroots candidates. Are you kidding me?
If you think it's the right way,
Don't piss down my leg and tell me it's raining.
.com and pitch in $5 because understand this: our democracy hangs in the balance. If we have to fund through billionaires, then we're just going to be an America that's going to work better and better for billionaires and not for anyone else.
So
It's,
I can't stand
George Stephanopoulos is feeling excited about
and
this.
one of my major focuses is going to be on passing that constitutional amendment to overturn Citizens United. I didn't come from money. And I just simply think people don't look
Elizabeth
at
Warren is also
and say,
pretty good at
"Can we
lying.
get someone richer?" I don't think they think that.
She's been
They wanna have
practicing,
someone
I think.
that they can understand. And
So
you know,
she
my
ain't as far along,
grandpa was an iron ore
ain't
miner.
as
He
good
worked
at it as
1,500
Pete is,
feet
but she's
underground
been
in the mines his whole
practicing.
life. He couldn't even graduate from high school.
That
because
was
he had to
bullshit
raise
what
his
she
9
just
brothers
said.
and sisters. My
Only her and Amy are either not a billionaire or not supported by a PAC.
family's trust, and you can't send like Donald Trump got from his family. You can't fit $413 million.
I want to hear what Sanders has to say about that.
My mom grew up as and wanted to be a teacher.
I think there are PACs that support Sanders. They're small.
She taught second grade until she was 70 years old. And no, I am not a billionaire, but I stand
Very
before
small.
you today as a
No,
granddaughter
don't
of
take
an iron
corporate
ore miner,
donations.
the daughter of a teacher and a newspaper man.
Well, I'll see what he
Woman
says.
elected to the U.S. Senate
I don't give a shit what
from
this
Minnesota.
bitch.
Someone
Excuse
who
me.
has
I don't give a
passed
shit
over
what
100
Amy has to
bills
say.
as the lead Democrat in that gridlock in Washington, D.C. And that is because we live in a country of shared dreams. And that means no matter where you
It's like David Feldman said today, shared dreams. Don't accomplish those dreams ever, because then they're dead. You don't want to be a dream killer.
Right now, Senator Sanders, I am coming to you, but Mayor Bloomberg is... Let me just put the question to you.
Shut up and let him talk, George. I didn't tune in to talk about George Stephanopoulos.
Mayor Bloomberg has said we need evolution, not revolution, taking you on directly.
Great. Thanks. Okay, good.
There are millions of people who can desire to run for office. But I guess if you're worth $60 billion and you could spend several $100 million on commercials, you have a slight advantage. That is nonsense. What we have got to do is have a nation in which we not only overturn Citizens United, we move to public funding of elections.
They're freaked out by
In
Bernie.
terms of money in politics.
Freaked out by Bernie tonight.
Our campaign, and I am enormously proud of this, unlike some of the folks up here, I don't have 40 billionaires, Pete, to my campaign.
Get him, dude. Get him, dude. Put your hand down, dude. You know it's true.
Wall Street and all the big money interests. What we do have is we have now
Look,
over 6 million
lots of big stories. Big money behind Pete.
Averaging $18.50 a contribution. That is unprecedented in the
That's
history
right.
of American politics.
An army of hairdressers, baristas, car mechanics. Take over this country.
You're not going to do it by electing candidates who are going out to rich people's homes begging for money. The way we're going to do it is build a mass movement of working people who are prepared to stand up, not take money from these billionaires, not take money from Wall Street, but stand up to the drug companies in Wall
Wow.
Street. And if you want to be part of that political revolution,
Literally would take my hat off for him. BernieSanders.com.
We are going into the fight of our lives. Donald Trump, according to news reports, and his allies raised $25 million today.
I've got to compete with
go
that.
into that fight with everything that we've got. Now, I've been very clear on both my record, where I have sued pharmaceutical companies, and what I'm campaigning for, that includes raising wages and raising taxes on corporations and the wealthy. And as the only person on this stage who is not a millionaire or a billionaire, I know a thing or two about building a movement because
they're the same.
South Bend, Indiana is not exactly an establishment fundraising powerhouse. We are here without
You gotta be a millionaire 1,000 times over
hundreds of thousands of people went to
be a billionaire.
PeteForAmerica.com, contributed to
The idea that people
campaign.
can't
Let me say
fucking
something
figure
else.
out what that
If we wanna
looks
deliver
like
any of the changes that everyone is
is
talking
ridiculous.
about so elegantly up here, we need to put together the majority that can decisively defeat Donald Trump. And in order to do that, we need a politics that is
He's not even talking about the question. Just uses the money as a jumping off point to talk about Trump's got money. So I suppose it's implying that he needs, he's got to compete with this corrupt billionaire.
Looking your kids in the eye and trying to explain this White House. We need you to join us right now.
No.
I will not.
Do not do that.
Politics by
Do not join this rat-faced fuck.
They can't be at our side if they're not with us 100%.
I want to be fair.
This is a time.
I don't care if he look like goddamn Hercules in the flesh. I don't care if he's the most fuckable looking dude in the planet. Rat-faced fuck or not, don't go to his website.
Here in America, President Trump just signed the United States-Mexico-Canada agreement. Many call it an updated NAFTA, but it does include incentives to make cars here in North America, and it does open Canadian markets for American dairy farmers. Senator Sanders, as we sit here in New Hampshire tonight, both New Hampshire Senators Maggie Hassan and Senator Jeanne Shaheen supported this. They voted yes, calling it a real win for workers and for farmers.
They're wrong.
You voted no because you said you believe it takes us back years on climate. Were the senators from New Hampshire wrong?
Yes. Oh shit, my man. Okay.
But if you look at
He's the only one who ever fucking answers the question at all. The rest of them dodge, duck constantly.
We're so proud to have their support because we have introduced
Yeah, they're
the most
wrong. I disagree.
comprehensive climate change proposal I think ever offered by a presidential candidate. What they are saying, what the environmental groups are saying, we're simply exporting fossil fuel emissions to Mexico. There is not one word in that trade agreement that deals with climate change. And I don't know how in 2020 you can do that. Second of all, there is, in terms of outsourcing of jobs, a major crisis in this country. Nobody believes that under this
That's what people want to hear.
trade agreement that there will not be continued and significant outsourcing of jobs.
The fact that the economy is not collapsing utterly right now for everyone is the only thing Trump has going for him.
So I think the
So
right
you run
vote
at
is
that.
to vote against that agreement.
You take that strength and you make it a weakness, and you expose and remind people how uneven the shared prosperity is.
One word on climate in the trade deal. So why did you vote yes?
Well, first of all, I want to defend the honor of
2 hours
the
down.
two senators from New Hampshire, Jeanne Shaheen,
Yeah.
Maggie Hassan, who work so hard for
Yeah.
this state every day, and I voted with them. Why did I vote with
Just
them?
gotta get those,
Because
gotta get votes you can.
improvements in this trade agreement.
'Cause you're in big trouble,
when it
aren't you,
comes to
Amy?
labor inspections, when it comes to getting rid of a sweetheart pharma deal that was in place, and when it comes to climate change, I think we have to have a North American trading bloc. We have to have Mexico and Canada
Like a NAFTA?
and America working together. And the best way to take on climate change, as president,
did that already?
yes, I'll work to make this a part of
feel
our
like we did
future
that
trade
once,
agreement. But the best way to take on climate change is
What if we had some sort of North American, like, free trade agreement?
It is bringing back the clean power rules. It is bringing back the gas mileage standards, and it is introducing sweeping legislation to put a price on carbon. And you cannot.
Did she get these notes from Chuck Schumer?
Agreements that should be part of our
Gas mileage standards? Really?
Having no trade agreement
That's what you're
with
bringing
Canada
up?
and Mexico puts us at such a disadvantage
Small ball
when it
shit.
comes to dealing with China and pushing China to do better when it comes to climate change.
Senator Klobuchar, thank you. Senator Warren, you voted yes as well.
Yes, I did. And I'll tell you why. Because there are a lot of farmers around this country that are really hurting.
And I was just trying to get their vote just now, and I fucked that up. But now I'm wedded to that position, so
decision after a lot of negotiation with Democrats. Senator Sherrod Brown helped make it a whole lot better.
He did. I believe he did vote
This
against it,
somewhat
Brad
better
Pill.
for workers and for farmers. And when I see a lot
I just mean like the
of
ticky-tacky sort of like,
somewhat better
fuel standards stuff. Chuck Schumer always was talking about like,
sign up for that, and then I'll get up tomorrow morning and
we
I'll
passed a
start
bipartisan resolution. The T-ball's never been safer. And,
that has a
you know,
basic coherence to it.
put safety seals on all milk cartons. That kind of thing.
Standards on climate around the world to get access to our market.
Mr. Steyer.
Yeah, but loves Marcus, right?
I got to agree with Bernie Sanders.
Yeah. Yes, that's the man. Ah, there we go. Clap for that.
Senator Warren is right. Everybody
My
wants to
man.
get into our market. And that's
Okay, now you can start. I mean, you already said the important part, Tom.
That we can have to stop making foreign policy decisions in the old way. Yeah, of course we want to make things better for American workers, and it's absolutely critical that when we
We're
think
playing a drink game every time Tom Steyer says I like Bernie Sanders. I love Bernie Sanders. I agree with Bernie Sanders. Dangerous,
That's a huge
dangerous.
positive change, and I agree with the senators on that. But there's something else going on here when we think about our foreign policy, and that's this. We talked about whether it was right to kill General Soleimani. And there was no discussion in that about where that leaves the United States in the community of nations around the world. So if we actually want to be the leaders of the world, the leaders of the free world, who can actually negotiate a climate treaty around the world that sticks, that makes a difference, we're going to have to put climate first. And when we think about doing the wrong thing the way Mr. Trump did with General Soleimani,
what is that?
We have to ask, does that help us build a coalition of
Dude, what the
countries
fuck are
around the
you
world to
talking
do the right
about,
thing?
man?
It absolutely does not. Being all by ourselves, being the empire in the Star Wars movie, does not put us in a position to get done what we need to get done as the leader of the free world. And so, in fact, the USMCA is something that's the first step, but the second step is exactly what Bernie Sanders is saying. Use access to our market as a negotiating thing to make sure not only that we represent American workers, but that we represent the American people in the long run, and we make sure that we get a safe climate deal.
One of the things about being in the arena is you have
All right,
to make
folks, I have to use the
decisions
restroom
all
real
the
quick.
time.
I'm
And these
sorry, I'll
things
be back
aren't
in a
always
second, okay?
exactly how you would do them. But in this case, if you want to criticize Trump for not ever having any friends, and I would agree, he always sides with tyrants over innocents. He always sides with dictators over allies. But I think you've got to have some friends. And those two countries, our neighbors, may not be perfect, but they are our friends. And we have a president that literally blames everyone in the world, and we have not talked about this enough. He blames Barack Obama for everything that goes wrong. He blames his Federal Reserve chair that he appointed himself. He blames the King of Denmark. Who does that? He blames the Prime Minister of Canada for, he claims, cutting him out of the Canadian version of Home Alone 2. Who does that? That's what Donald Trump does. So my point here is that when we have opportunities to work with our allies, and New Hampshire is such a great example of this. New Hampshire, Bretton Woods, New Hampshire with senators like Jeanne Shaheen and Maggie Hassan, who believe we need to work with NATO and the rest of the world, who sees it as a smaller state, but a state that is a piece of the world. We cannot be alone. And that trade agreement was not perfect. But the point of it is, if we start isolating ourselves from the rest of the world, we are going to hurt ourselves economically, and we are going to hurt our nation's security.
All right, Senator Klobuchar, thanks very much.
We have hit the 2-hour mark, and we take a quick break and come back with a final question.
welcome back to Manchester, New Hampshire, and the ABC News Democratic debate. Thanks for joining us here on ABC News Live tonight. I'm Devin Dwyer, joined with our political correspondent, Rachel Scott. Rachel, we heard so much this last block.
Oh, whoops, I was muted. It looks like I missed the break. Unfortunately. Like that. It looks like everybody's getting kind of tired up there. To be honest with you, that's what I'd say. Everybody seems to be fading a bit. Hey, what's up, Walter? My production assistant's here. I'm pretty fascinated by the inability of Joe Biden to really get anything done this debate. Other than just kind of float there. I think for a while people thought he might just be able to float long enough to just kind of float his way into the general, but that has not been what has happened. And I think big reason that hasn't happened is because, frankly, like, there's just no other way to say it. The guy's not up for this. He's not mentally prepared for this. He's not smart enough. He's not energetic. He just doesn't have the ability to concentrate, focus on this stuff to the degree that you really need to in order to, like, be a successful president, which is it's a pretty hard job, right? Like, at least I think so. I don't think being president's that easy, but I really can't believe we're about to go another hour. I did notice that hour. They're really trying to make nice with Bernie, though, mostly. They're afraid of him. I knew that was going to be the case going in. Peace. See you later. Hey, thanks for liking and subscribing, y'all. I appreciate it. I'm just, stay on as long as the debate's on, but it's 3 hours long, so you gotta go. Yeah, it's supposed to be 8 to 11. Now I'm gonna stick it out. No, I was gonna try to anyway. She's had a couple good moments. I don't feel like she's really distinguished herself in any meaningful way. At least not in a meaningful way that's positive. That little jab about, only me and Amy are grassroots because we don't have PACs and we're not billionaires. Bullshit. That's bullshit. That's just bullshit. We back?
20 years since child poverty was directly addressed in the presidential
We are
debate.
back.
The year was 1999. The questioner was our friend
That's them, man. That wasn't me.
who may be watching right now, the late Cokie Roberts.
What?
Cokie loved the New Hampshire primary, and she asked the candidates in this Republican debate, how will we
Cokie
overcome the
Roberts.
scandal of 1/4 of American preschoolers living in poverty in the richest nation on earth? Today, nearly 1 in 5 American preschoolers are still living below the poverty line, even though we've had 10 straight years of economic growth. What does that say to you about where America is today and what we need to do about it?
George, we're in the midst of the most extreme winner-take-all economy in the history of our country. And unfortunately, that extremity is just going to reach unprecedented heights as technology is getting stronger, smarter, more capable all the time.
Technology don't get smarter, dude.
Most adults feel happy if we stayed about the same on any given day. So if we want to alleviate child poverty, we need to put money directly into the hands of families, particularly single parents.
He's right. This is a stupid question. The easiest way to eliminate poverty is give people money.
90% of single parents are single moms.
I mean, if really that's your problem, that's what you're trying to do.
Where we've allowed the market
Obviously, just giving people money ain't gonna solve all the problems in the world, but
and what
like
is the market value my
poverty,
at or stay-at-home parents
mostly
around the
yes.
country? 0. Caregivers taking care of ailing loved ones, like Carl Christensen in Iowa. 0. Volunteers and activists in our communities trying to do something positive, 0.
0.
Coaches and mentors helping our kids, 0. Most artists, sorry artists, but it's true, 0.
Oh, you can't just get my vote?
Local journalists, which is wiping out our ability to have a.
But if you're gonna give everyone the $1,000, right? Not like just the artists, like not just the people who don't have wage jobs now, right?
Campaign has to be for us to disentangle economic value and human value. Say they are not
And $1,000 a month could even do that. Like just the amount of money itself would be too low.
Owners and shareholders of the richest country in the history of the world.
That's not enough to live on, even for one person, honestly.
The problem is America's been counting the wrong things. The president who says the economy is fantastic.
God damn, this guy's slick.
Jones is looking good. And I'm sure if you've got a building with your name on it close to Wall Street, then that really is the same thing as the economy to you. But the problem is we've had an economy grow and not be able to lift up those most in need, or even so many in the middle. Madam President, we're going to measure the performance of our economy.
Consider South Bend, Indiana, where gentrification has immiserated many residents, and the mayor has done nothing about it. It's tragic.
In South Bend on cutting the poverty rate, in particular the black poverty rate, and making sure families with children were participating in the.
I don't understand why we should be cutting down to 4 right now. Pete, Warren, Bernie, and Biden are basically the only ones who deserve to be up there.
And some Republicans think we
I guess you could throw Amy Klobuchar in there too. Andrew Yang and Tom Steyer are never going to be president.
It still doesn't happen. That is why we need to recognize that the time has arrived for a different kind of politics. To turn the page, leave the politics.
If you say turn the page one more time, motherfucker, I swear to God. He loves turning pages. Loves it. Just love to turn pages.
So I started my grown-up life as a special education teacher.
Love it.
About the worth of
turning
every
pages.
Single human being. And I believe that the best investment we can make as a nation, the best investment we can make as human beings, is to invest in our children. And we've had enough of making.
I mean, I'm down, but I'm kind of sick of this language about investing in ourselves, investing in children. I just don't like it. We're not looking to make a profit on these kids, right? We're looking to make a profit, like a monetary profit. Certainly we'll get a social return, but like investment makes people think I'm gonna get that money back and some more. Do well while doing good kind of stuff.
And raise the wages of
Not a
every
fan.
child care worker and preschool teacher in America. We want to have a real future in this country. Then invest in our children. Don't leave public education just to our localities and our states. Be a good federal partner. Put real money into our schools. Put real money into housing. Put real money into health care. Put real money into the future of our children. That's how we build the America of our best values.
Mr. Vice President. I come from a family where a dad walked in one day and said, "We got to move. We don't have a job." In the city. I watched my dad.
Sorry,
many people
that wasn't
here
funny.
in this state and others have gone through the same thing, where the fathers made that longest walk and the mothers made that longest walk. I was listed for the entire time I was in the United States Congress as the poorest man in the United States Congress.
That's right.
My net worth was.
I was a bag man for the credit card companies.
That I've never
I just did it for the love of the game.
And I was a single.
I just like love helping out.
It's not as hard as being.
Didn't even have to pay.
And I had help from my sisters in the audience and others. But the fact is that I think we have to focus.
Those
on
banks
what is at
making
stake.
all that money
These
off of
are
you
someone
because you
else's
can't
children.
declare
They're all our
bankruptcy.
children. They're the kite strings that lift our national ambitions.
I helped do that. I'm the guy.
Lift our national ambitions aloft.
And they didn't even have to pay me.
Overwhelming interest in seeing to it they do well. You know, 24 out of every 100 students in school today, from grade school to high school, are Latino. What are we going to do? Walk away from that? Many of them come from what? Very poor. That's why I invest so much time and energy in preschool.
Walk away
If I only have $1 to spend, I spend it equipping the child before they get into school in the early days. Then
is that like a problem that needs tackling or something?
Graduated. A great number of them aren't going to, as Mr.
Did you know that 25% of them are Latino?
They're not going on the college.
Nobody's saying anything about that. Keep living. We gotta do something quick. We can't walk away.
Capabilities are out there. We must focus on our children. Like I said, they're all our children. They're not somebody else's kids. Everyone.
That's right. Every child belongs to the state.
Is entitled to be treated with dignity and respect, and we're not doing it.
Senator Sanders.
God damn.
So,
Get him, Senator.
Question is why we have the highest rate of childhood poverty of almost any major country on earth, disproportionately high for the African American community, by the way, is the same reason that we give massive trillion-dollar tax breaks to the rich and large corporations. Same reason we give tens of billions of dollars in subsidies and tax breaks to the fossil fuel industry, while half of our people are living paycheck to paycheck.
I live paycheck to paycheck. Do you live paycheck to paycheck?
Owning more wealth than the bottom half of America. The same reason that we are the only major country on earth
Don't be ashamed.
to guarantee health care to all people as a human right. Same reason as to why we are paying.
If you're broke all the time and you don't have a good job, don't be ashamed.
Than other countries for prescription drugs.
You listen to my show. That's one thing I want everyone to always take away, and I insist that they do.
1% and by wealthy campaign contributors. Our priorities are determined by those who want to see the rich get richer and are turning their backs on the working families of this country. And what is unique about our campaign is we say unashamedly, we are raising our campaign contributions not from billionaires, but from working class people. That our campaign is about the working families of this country, for the working class of this country. And that is the administration that we will run. It is time to take on the big money interest. It is time to change our national priorities.
He's the only guy.
In Koki's memory, let me answer this question. We may have lost an election in 2016, Democrats, but we did not lose hope. And there is a way. It's actually based on a National Academy of Science report, and I've used that to put together a plan to reduce child poverty in half in 10 years and eradicate it in a generation.
I love you.
We
Chat's
can do it with
great, by the
investment
way.
in child care. We can do it
I
with
mean it. I'm
investment
not being sarcastic.
in preschool and school, and we can do it with tax credits, and we can get it done. But to get it done, we have to be able to reach those voters.
Is it just me, or does she sound like she's on the verge of tears all night? Everything she says, she sounds like she's about to cry.
And when he died, his body was put on a train. And
I'm not saying it's because she's weak or emotional. I think
There was
she's
a guy
acting.
standing by those tracks
Is what I'm
along
trying
with
to
so
say.
many Americans, and he had his hat on his chest, and he was sobbing. And a reporter said, "Sir, did you know the president?" And the guy says, "No, I didn't know the president, but he knew me. He knew me." And I will tell you this, there is a complete lack of empathy in this guy in the White House right now. And I will bring that to you. If you have trouble stretching your paycheck to pay for that rent,
Donald Trump is not my therapist. That's not the
You're
problem.
going to pay for your child care or your long-term care. I know you, and I will fight for you. If you have trouble figuring out,
Oh, is it a condition? I'm sorry.
prescription drug,
I actually don't mean to. I don't mean to slam her for that. I thought she was acting because I've noticed it. I have not noticed it in the other debates. I just feel like tonight it's been. I feel like tonight she's been laying it on thick is what she's been doing. She's been laying it on thick either way.
Totally believes in
Shit, she gonna find the stream, whoop my ass probably. Beat the shit out of me.
Please, New Hampshire.
Fucking murdered by office supplies.
Thank you.
Mr. Steyer.
Either way, I think she's full of shit. She's acting.
The Republicans have a cruel plan.
I feel so hard
Their
for
plan
you.
is pretty simple.
I can't give you anything for real, so I give you my feelings.
And then they pay for it by cutting education for kids, by cutting health care across the board.
Who are you again? Who's this guy again? This is the guy that likes Bernie, right? Okay. This is the guy that likes Bernie.
Organized labor movement. It's very simple. That's what Mr. Trump's plan is, and it's true in every single red state. But we are not going to win by just criticizing Mr. Trump. I know that there is a better America.
That's all you.
And that America
All most of y'all have been doing
in
all
our
night.
hearts and minds.
Talking about Trump.
And that America understands that when a kid succeeds in Columbia, South Carolina, that is a triumph for every American. And the same is true.
Looking ahead to the next state.
Nevada. Mr. Trump has no idea what prosperity looks
He keeps
like
calling him Mr.
across
Trump. He
this
thinks
country.
that's
It's
he
not
thinks
just that
that's
he does
clever,
bad
don't he?
things. He doesn't understand that investing in education and healthcare and good union jobs is actually an investment in our common humanity and in growth in the future.
Tom Steyer's hedge fund has hundreds of millions of dollars invested in a corporation.
Beat Mr. Trump because he will
No, it's CCA, I believe. It's Corrections Corporation of America. It's one of two, along with Geo Group, the largest private prison companies on the planet.
Imagine the mountain.
They do most of their business in the United States. Also do a good bit in Australia.
We are in perilous times.
Tom Steyer makes money off of that.
Let's rise together.
Makes a lot of money off of that.
Candidates, thank you. Thanks for a great debate tonight. Thanks to our audience here at St.
We
Anselm
done?
College. Thanks to our
Wrap it
partners,
up.
WMUR
All right.
and Apple News. And now I'd like to send it to my colleagues, Martha Raddatz.
Thanks very much, George, and good evening from high above the debate stage here in Manchester after the sometimes
Okay.
between the top 7.
All right, so I guess that's it, ladies and gentlemen, for the debate. I mean, I guess my final thoughts are that obviously Bernie won the debate. Yeah, I've been I've done delivery, waiter, food service. Tough life. Don't get paid much. I feel you, Catherine. I'd much rather have a candidate who's in the pockets of big wait staff, big barista, big fast food clerk. these populations. But anyway, long ass debate. Bernie clearly the only candidate actually even bothering to listen to the moderator's questions and answer them, I'd say. Joe Biden looking lost on the screen right now. Doesn't know where he is. Looks like his wife. He recognizes his wife. So he is, ladies and gentlemen, breaking news on the Dissident Peasant Podcast. Joe Biden is going to get home safe. He has been picked up by his family. He is not going to be in danger of wandering the streets of Manchester, New Hampshire late at night, looking for drugs or perhaps a place to sleep or a warm meal or anything like that. Confused about where he is, when he is, anything like that. No, Joe Biden has found his family and will be making it home from the debate. But other than that, I would just say Warren failed to have the breakout night that she really needed to break herself up in the polls. Amy Klobuchar failed to hurl a stapler at anyone in a convincing way. Tom Steyer spent half the time saying Bernie is great and the other half the time saying all the Democrats would be better than Trump. Pete, I have no idea how his shit's going to play. I feel like he's incredibly slick. He comes off to me as rat-faced fuck. I feel like I see right through him. I feel like you see right through him. That being said, you know, ABC in the tank form tonight gave him the most time, most softball questions, so we'll see. There will be more endless time to talk about the Democratic primary in the future, I'm sure. But before I go, just a quick reminder, I am trying to grow this YouTube channel. If you enjoy this stream, please like and subscribe. There'll be more video content here as I see fit to produce. I appreciate you guys hanging out with me. And I will see you